Welcome to the Four Podmen, the podcast that us four buttes bring you each and every single week as part of the Dynamo podcast network. And it is still Rumble season, ladies and gentlemen. So we have our final show on Rumble for one more year, and we are all very, very happy about that. And we are sure you are. We're all rumbled out, but today we do have one last run at it because we're going to be talking about Rumbles in general, not specifics. We're not going to be talking about specific shows. We're going to be talking about past champions or say winners of the Rumble and where their career went after. Did they succeed? Did they not? We're also going to be talking about controversial Rumble moments. We're going to be talking about, I suppose, the most successful Rumbles. We're just going to be talking about Rumbles in general. And we might have a little bit of a spitball at the end and talk about potential winners this year that could possibly face Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre, depending on which side of the coin that they're on. And maybe we'll have a little bit of fantasy booking and talk about who we would like to win it and who really needs the rub as well. Who knows what's going to happen? But this is the Four Podmen. I am your host, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, joined as always by the shopkeeper, Niall Hogan, joined by the DJ Kennedy himself, and the beef, Mr. Dr. Death, the stats man of how many people have died in the world of professional wrestling, Joe Diden himself. How are you, gentlemen?
All good. Great to be here.
Great as
Contrary to Joe's hopes, still alive, still not one of his fucking numbers in his bleeding updated phone book of unmerciful misery.
Absolutely. And Jay, that's actually a good place to start because Joe did inform us on what some of his homework this week was, and I think it was just to appease your shock horror slash disbelief on why Joe brings these things up. And Joe decided to come up with something very unique and strange and very dark and talk about the statistics on how many people are no longer with us from some of these Rumbles. I couldn't actually articulate what Joe done himself. We'll leave it up to the man himself. Joe, tell us what you actually done there, you crazy fuck.
I was about to say that. I think I look more like Paul Bear than I do the Undertaker.
Go ahead. Tell us what you've done there. You decided to just do something a little bit different, and I'm sure it's not meant with any disrespect.
No, it's genuinely not done in any disrespect. Well, my debut show with you guys was the 2000 Royal Rumble, and I got it for some reason. It popped into my head as different entrants came in. I was like, that guy's dead. That guy's dead. That guy's dead. And just worked out how many of them had died. And then Jay thought it was absolutely hilarious and said,
It is.
So I decided to do it again for this one. So I don't know if it'll be a running thing. Because it is incredibly morbid, and
it's definitely going to be a running thing. It gives me great entertainment, Joe. We're here for us.
Joe, how many are still in hospital and in ICU? You're the Dr. Tony Houlihan of this podcast.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Joe definitely works for Neffy.
So that's what I did. I worked out how many.
The people have a right to know. This is journalism. The people have a right to know.
But I worked out how many previous participants in the Rumble since 1988 are now deceased.
And what's the conclusion? You may as well give it to us. You can't leave us hanging on by a thread.
Well, why don't you guys have a guess each, and then we'll see at the.
Are we doing percentages? Like
no. It's just not a number.
How many people since the inauguration?
That's very lazy. It doesn't take an awful lot of maths to figure out a percentile. You've got an hour and a half, Joe. Don't let me down, Joe. Don't fuck this up on me, Joe.
So is it basically like how many people have died since the inauguration of the Royal Rumble back in '88? How many people?
It's only Royal Rumble participants since '88.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Can you give us a figure out of how many people have actually participated? How many are dead?
I was going to do that, and then I was going to work out the percentages, but this took me so bloody long. I just really wasn't arsed working
It
out.
doesn't seem like it took you that long. You can't even tell me how many people have participated in the Rumble since 1988.
Yeah, like if there's 30 a rumble and there's been 10 rumbles, that math says there's 300. Like, but
It's
there's not
40
obviously.
It's 40. It's 42 rumbles, and one of them had 4.
There we go.
And
Boom,
one of-
42 rumbles by 30, and then out of 10. That's some fucking
and one of
maths
them
right
had-
there for you.
And one of them only had 20 as well.
Oh,
First
well,
rumble
then
only
take
had
10. 10
I
off.
would
Well, then
say-
that balances out. Then it's just that many of 30.
Well, I'm gonna give my guess
Nobody-
right now. I'm gonna give.
We're
my
not
guess
including
right
that
now.
fucking Saudi bullshit, are we? We're not including that crap.
No,
That
no. It's
480 man rumble. Half of that bleeding crowd is probably dead now after not clapping hard enough for it. You know?
Well, I'm giving my guess right now, and I'm gonna go out on a whim and say 60. There you go, 60.
60. Okay.
Lock it in.
Dead.
Lock it in.
For the record, it's 1,260 participants.
Hugh has a calculator on his desktop right there because he's a businessman.
Yeah, but don't forget, Niall, that you're also a lot of people were in it again and again and again.
So Niall,
Yeah, repeat participants don't count unless they've had repeat deaths.
Niall,
That's
did you
fair
say
what he
tw-
said.
hang on,
Statistically
did he say
speaking, that's valid.
1,260.
There can't be. There's
So that
loads of
means there's
repeats.
1,200 left. Because I said 60. So
No, he's not listening either. Joe, you've got this. You should have made money on this. This should have been a bet. Repeat participants can't be in the competition for death more than once the way you can be a more than one rumble.
well,
Exactly.
it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It doesn't matter. Before we bore the people off,
It
Dynamo
matters a
podcast,
little bit.
before people start subscribing to Low Blows and all these other shows instead of us, let's get on with the show
That's
and
quality
actually,
banter.
and let's do what we just said we would do. I have put my guess in. I'm waiting for the next person to put their guess in.
60 out of over 1,200. Jesus.
79.
79.
I know.
It's
You're a
10
fucker.
short of
I
a
said-
good number.
It's 10 too much of a good
And too
number.
much of a good number.
Very
Jesus
much so.
Christ. What, did you just wake up 5 minutes ago?
Tell us about all those 89s you had.
At the curry shop.
I've
It's a
never
skin fried chicken.
claimed to be good at maths. I'm good with articulation and posting. That's why I'm doing this.
An 89 is the house special, like, you know what I mean?
Carol Vorderman is definitely not my mother anyway. We know this. I've
House
never been a
special
good
with
maths
chips and coke.
Yeah, I'm,
And
the
I'm
youngest,
89.
I'm the youngest person on this podcast, so older people are generally better at maths.
Look here, listen, I'm going to say 148.
Oh, that's okay. So
Yeah,
17
man. A lot of my particular era really, really, really enjoyed testing drugs with their face. You know, they got into that shit and then they got real quick into that grave. So I'm probably lowballing at that as well. A lot of my favorite era of wrestling were mad about that. You know, so
Right, lads, I'm going to let you go again because he's got caught in on that 1260 number. There wasn't that many people that were in the Rumble.
Well,
Well,
I
that's
said
true.
60 in fairness, which
Oh,
was
Joe, I tried to explain it to them and they weren't having any of it. There was 1,260 members in the Rumble.
oh no, that was
there wasn't.
Hogan said that. I said 60 people out of since 1988 and to now.
Well, lads, look, you say I'm the morbid one. You went way over.
25.
You can't have a second go.
I
that's
can
the
when
number.
the man given the numbers freezes, so I have to do something to keep the show going.
Joe, I sent you 29 the other day and you told me I was way off. So I assumed I had
19
to
you
up
said.
the game. Oh, 19, was it?
Yeah, it's 19, yeah. And I was 4 Rumbles in and I hit that.
I tell you what, Joe, just tell us how many Rumble participants there's been over the years.
He didn't.
way
He
off.
didn't get that.
Said I didn't work that out. I was going to and I didn't.
So can you actually? So what is the real number so we can get onto the show and actually start entertaining people?
You don't think this is entertaining, pal?
No,
Would you stop?
I don't find entertainment in the death of a man.
Joe, does this include lads who died?
Lurr.
Joe, does this include lads who died later on and buried alive matches and stuff like that?
Work that counts. That's fair. That's fair.
Does it
That's fair.
include Triple H and Shawn Michaels' burial of talent, or
Oh,
because Chris Candido is actually one.
always-
Chris Candido was one legitimate one, to be fair as well.
always with the Sean hate, you know.
Only when it came to Brett.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Niall. You
Right,
broke.
lads, so
So can we have the number now?
Segue tonight.
But yeah. So the actual number that I counted anyway was 41.
Oh wow.
That's way lower than 178, Joe.
60 wasn't a bad shout on my part.
Well, Joe was being very pedantic
you're
about
still,
who
what,
was way
19
off. 19 off. It's not a lot, Joe. I mean,
No, it's not. Do you know what? I used to be a good host until the Four Podmen came to be a thing. I'm
Hang on,
just
hang
gonna
on,
go
hang
with
on,
it.
hang on. Ian, you could be right. Because some of those people who died might have had multiple gimmicks.
There you go.
how many careers died as opposed to how many men died? Yeah, Joe, did you figure that in?
No, I didn't do that.
That's
now.
bullshit.
No.
This is fucking bullshit. Flying by the seat of our pants, and these facts just keep changing. Do you know? I can't. I need a drink.
You
You
know
have
what?
me drinking.
This is
You have
this
me
is
drinking.
this is Joe's communism coming into play now. He just went and Googled it. He didn't put an hour into this, Joe.
See,
just fucking
We're
swatting.
over now.
This is what
Over an hour.
this is why I'm
Yeah.
talking about participants, because, like, for instance, if you have Owen Hart in there, you know,
He only died once though.
yeah, but he competed multiple times in terms of a participant.
We already had this
That's why I told
conversation.
you.
Right.
Me and
I
Joe
think-
had
I
this
think I said
conversation 5 minutes ago.
I think we're gonna move along right now onto the main event of the show.
I need a resolve.
This is getting now too much for us in terms of
We
talking
declared-
about specifics and individuals. So we're gonna move along.
You
now
brought it
for the-
up. You're the
for
one
the-
who brought it up. You
No.
said, let's go to Joe with the deaths. And
Well-
then Joe was all like, I made up a load of things. 178 people died in wrestling this week. And we were like, whoa, back it up there, Jose. You know, that can't be.
So we are back here with the Four Podmen. Of course, speaking about Joe's wonderful list of people that are no longer with us anymore. We had to take a little pause for the cause there. To be fair, it is something different. It's probably a statistic that many people. Well, I mean, let's be real, Jay. You'll back me up on this. It's a statistic that not many people will look for. To be fair, but a statistic that is delivered to them, they'll probably stop and think and go, "Oh, holy shit!" Now, the reason I would have said 60. All
It's
right,
a dark
know.
world with a light, bouncy humor. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair,
such is life. Such is life.
well, Jay and Noel, you were saying there beforehand, you were talking about, like, say, lads with different gimmicks. So, in fairness, Noel, you said Owen Hart, like, it could have been the Rocket, or he could have been the lad with the baggy pants. Do you know what I mean? Or it could have been Jim the Anvil Neidhart with the baggy pants, or Jim the Anvil Neidhart with the pink and black. So, I suppose that is a fair point if we're going to look at it from that, because that would be a Ted Irving thing to say. Shout out to Ted. He'd be the guy to come in with that stat and
Listen,
debate it.
more gimmicks died in that Rumble than in any other fucking sport in any situations. You know what I mean? The crowd won't take to everybody every time, but it's a testament to the sport that McMahon keeps fucking trying. Like,
Well, absolutely. But like, the reason I would have thought that, because you remember there was a video years ago. I think it was about, it was shortly after Benoit died. And there was a video of the list of wrestlers that we would have remembered, obviously, from, say, Noel and Jay's generation all the way up to now. And it showed how many were dead, like, before the age of 40. And it was something like, it was near the hundreds, like. And I just assumed that a good percentage of them would have appeared in Rumbles at some point. So 41, I think, is actually quite low. Yeah, I thought.
it is quite low, in fairness, when you consider how impactful and detrimental sport and life on the road is to a man. 41, I think there's a lot of men doing very well to still be lacing them up, you know,
To be
which is
fair,
quite
yeah.
positive in the end, you know.
Which is a good thing. Not that we wanted to be any higher. Like,
Oh, absolutely, man.
not that we
Absolutely.
wanted
Jesus.
to be any
Jesus
higher.
Christ. If you can't run through life with the tongue in cheek, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Fair.
It'd be good,
Fair.
actually, if Joe coming up to Mania then did the same thing for Mania. That'd be an interesting.
That's a lot of mats.
That is a lot of maths.
I don't think Joe liked his last mats.
I'll see how I feel coming up to Mania. See how I feel.
Lockdown boredom, Joe. Oh, fuck it. Let's move on.
That's
Let's
exactly what it is.
moving swiftly on. Let's get back
know,
to the
before-
wrestling
before-
subject at hand.
Before we do,
Before,
do you
go
want to
ahead.
take a? Would you like to hazard a guess at which was the deadliest rumble?
As in,
Okay,
like, the
I'm gonna
most
say
deaths
Which
from
one
it?
had the most? Which rumble had the most participants that are currently dead?
93. I'm gonna guess 93.
93. Okay.
Other main guess?
Ian.
I'm trying to think, yeah, I'm because you said 93, and I was just thinking 90, because obviously we done 92 last year, and I was trying to think who was
Yeah.
in it from the.
I think you swerve balled us. I think naturally our mind
Yeah.
would go straight back to the earliest rumble, but
Yeah.
maybe that's not the case. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Do you know what? I'll stay close in hand with Jay there. I'm gonna say 95, maybe.
I'm thinking
No.
99.
Okay, Jesus, they're all close in hand. It's a 6-year period there.
I've just scared somebody with me curveball speculations.
You did, yeah.
No, it's the first one because they're the oldest. You fucking idiots. There was the first rumble in 74.
Out of the three of you, Jay is the closest with 93.
Oh,
It was 1991. 12 of them are now deceased.
Oh, okay. 91.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
91.
Who was champion 91?
Yeah, I
Who
was
was
trying to
champion?
think that.
It was
No.
after Warrior, obviously. Was Warrior
Hogan.
still champion?
Oh, Hogan.
Oh, the run out on Cheeky Baby and Slaughter.
Yeah.
Great rumble.
Yeah, that's correct. And of course, Jay, he was entry number 24. Although that's probably good for him, isn't it? That's actually pretty good for him. You would have expected like 28 to 30, to be fair.
Yeah, he was putting in a bit of work there. He probably did something wrong and had to throw in a couple of extra minutes in the rumble to make it up to the boss.
Well, he was in Florida, in Miami, like, so isn't that his hometown or something? He probably said to Vince, "Come on, let me do it."
Strong showing.
Oh, actually, Jay, he won both those years. He won 1990 and 91.
God damn it.
Fuck's sake, the world champion winning the rumbles.
Well, but the first rumble,
I'm doing
that
Jay's
went
team
for
more and more every week, I have to say.
Yeah.
I do.
I got an idea. That don't work for me, boss.
You see,
And
I hear you.
I'll have that belt too.
well, the first.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Well, lads, the first rumble where the winner went, the first rumble that the winner went to Mania was 93. Before that, it was just winning the rumble.
Which was, of course,
Pat
Yokozuna.
on the back.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's
Yeah,
a
it was
cool one.
Yokozuna that went. Yeah.
We actually have Noel, because Noel usually is the stats man. What do we call him, Jay? He's like the FBI man. He has his list.
He is. He's got that bureau wall.
Bureau.
He's a good man for that. Thank Jesus for the lockup, because that wall has just pulled my ass out of the fire so many times.
It is the wall of fame for both of us, to be fair. Yeah. My excuse is usually I'm hosting, and then it's like Jay is good at spitballing. In fairness, you're able to just come in and go, "Yeah, I'll have a conversation about that." And then
I'll
Noel's
take that. The opinion guy. Why didn't you do your homework, Jay? The dog ate it.
I figured out that whole Buffalo Bill thing way before Jody Foster.
But do you know what we'll do? We'll take we'll say we'll take a quick break on YouTube. It won't even seem like a break. It'll be a little blink, and they'll be like, I wonder what those lads done for an hour in between it. So when we come back, we're going to go through some of Niall's list there, because he's actually compiled something really interesting. You've went with some of the most controversial moments in Rumble history. You've went with obviously some of the best Rumbles which we've already talked about, as Jay said earlier. We won't get too much into them, but no, you've got some good stuff there. And then I think it will be really cool to go back and look at all the Rumble winners and see where their career went after that. You know what I mean? So we'll just take a quick one, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Four Podmen, which tonight is a very, very special night in the air for us, ladies and gentlemen. The banter is going to come through from the rest of the show. There will be no more breaks unless there is a piss needed from either man. But we are there's something strange in the air tonight on Friday, the 22nd of January. And what better way to kind of continue, as we said before the break, after Joe's beautiful statistics, and not so beautiful statistics, to be fair.
Thank you, Joe. You had one job.
Great statistics in terms of great homework. Just probably, morbid, but yeah, still, it's valuable information, I suppose, when you think about it. in a sad way. So Niall has compiled something really kind of cool, and you've kind of come up with a number of controversial moments within the Royal Rumble history. Now, I haven't seen any of these or even conversed with you about any of these, so I'm interested to see what you've come up with. Is this all controversy just in the ring or controversial in general?
No, just controversial within the matches.
Okay.
So not controversial in terms of the winner, but controversial as to what happened in the matches and how we arrived at the winner, if you like. So in no particular order, I picked out 5, but you could probably pick out about 15 if you want. But I picked out 5 anyway. So I picked out first 2014, Batista winning the Rumble and getting booed out of the building. The thought process was Daniel Bryan at the time was hot as hell. And they expected the fan base there at the stadium and all expected Daniel Bryan to come in as number 30. And who pops out as number 30? None other than Rey Mysterio.
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
So if you remember that one, that's the one where the fan base went absolutely crazy and then kind of crappered all over the match, basically, if you like. So the booking committee, if you like, or the agent for the Rumble match that year dropped the ball really because Daniel Bryan was hot as hell at the time.
Yeah. And you remember, that was a good shout because you remember for a couple of years as well after CM Punk left, the bookers were all cunts because everyone expected him to appear in every Rumble every year. And you were like, he's not signed with us, lads. What can we do?
It's still real to them, damn it.
Yeah. But the Daniel Bryan one was insane, wasn't it? I actually remember that. You remember that one, Jay?
I do. I remember watching that live, actually. I think we watched that in a bar somewhere. Was that one of the...
I think we
Captain
did.
Planet or Captain fucking Americas? Did we watch that there?
I believe so, yeah. I remember we were there, and I remember us having the same reaction going, what?
Yes,
where's DB?
yeah.
Like, what's the story? Yeah. And of course, Batista comes and, no offense to Batista. It wasn't that lad's fault. He was a big star in his own right, But
I like Batista, but it hurt him, and you could kind of visibly see he wasn't too into it himself.
No, absolutely.
keep on that train of thought, that Batista train of thought. Because I have another beauty coming up.
Hit us.
No, but didn't sorry, no.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Joe.
No, just didn't he get the nickname Batista after that?
Batista,
yeah, very true.
And it must have been one of the only times Rey Mysterio got booed out of a building.
Yeah, he got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
Do you know what my big problem with Batista was? Everyone was pissing and moaning about the booking of it. My real problem was he didn't wear those cool fucking Punisher boots anymore. He wore those stupid little amateurs that were ridiculous colors. Do you remember them? You were like, what are you doing, Batista? Get those big fucking Warlord boots back on you. And I'm
I don't remember them.
But apparently the reason they picked him to win it was that he'd just done Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. So they were trying to get the crossover appeal.
Yeah, Marvel. Yeah.
Which he was brilliant in as well, in fairness to him.
Fantastic.
Like, it's rare you get a crossover star in such a prime position in such a large fucking movie. That first Guardians is just gold. Every second of it is so entertaining, so fun, and it's a kind of a from 6 to 60-year-old job. It's just a very bouncy, light film, and bless poor Dave, he deserved better. But then again, is there anything more ruthless than a wrestling crowd that turns against you? Like, even it's not your fault.
I agree with you there, Jay, to be fair, because I think a lot of people, though, within the wrestling community, and I probably speak for some of them, is that they were kind of, and again, people always blame the worker on this and whatnot. Batista came at a time when, down in OVW, Ohio Valley? Yeah, OVW, with Cornette, he would have been obviously training them to try and work on their own promos. But then they go up to the main roster and Batista was just basically told what to say. So you never really got to see Batista's actual personality come out because his promos were always very stuttery and not very believable.
Yeah,
and then you see him and then you see him in Guardians of the Galaxy and you see that natural charisma come out and you're like, wow, that's a funny guy,
Yeah.
But apparently Batista, when he did come back, he actually wanted to be a heel. But Vinnie Mac wouldn't let him because he was just too popular with the whole Hollywood thing and all that. But yeah,
not within the wrestling world, though.
Yeah, but apparently he didn't want to win the Rumble either. He thought it was a bad idea. Good luck.
Of course he didn't.
You believe that shite, right?
known for his modesty. A galaxy's worth of modesty in one frame, like.
His little brother was Mike Modest, Dave Modest.
you know his best buddy's Triple H, don't you?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Here, I'll have no bad word said about Troy. I might have said
Actually,
bad things.
In saying that, you've got Dave, you've got Nate, you've got Randy, and you've got H. He probably was the most modest one of Evolution, in fairness to him.
That's actually a very good point, Jay, to be honest. I mean, Randy Orton was probably the biggest dick at the time in terms of he was the young stud. He was going around shitting in handbags and fucking basically
Shawn
robbing.
Michaels levels of skullduggery. Yeah.
Did you ever see the famous video of him going up to fans? It's still on YouTube somewhere, and he goes up to a fan. He goes, "Hey," and they're like, "Randy, can we get an autograph?" And he goes, "Yeah, you can. Can I have a smoke?" The fan is like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Can I have a couple?" And he's saying, "Can I have a couple?" And he's taking basically a hand pile of smoke.
I'm gonna need them.
And he literally just puts his head in the picture going, like, I'm out of here. Brilliant.
It would have cost $20-$30 at a convention. Like, he probably got them cheap 6 Marlboro Reds.
Oh, he probably got those Indian smokes, the Route 66s. Where you bleed and choke on the first smell of it, like, you know.
I'm sure Randy didn't care. Free fags, sucker.
Sucker. Yeah, I smoked them all in one go. I'm probably just going to break them when I get down the road.
Just going around throwing them up in the air.
Just throwing them, yeah. That's a great point, Jay, actually, yeah. Like, when you think about it, Batista probably was the most modest one. I mean, was Batista married around
That's
back
saying
then?
a lot.
You what?
That's saying a lot in that crew. And when Big Dave is the most modest, Jesus.
Poor old Randy never stood a chance earlier. And the thing about Randy is now, you see him now, like, he's come full circle. He's obviously happily married. He's a family man and obviously just, you know, ingrained in his work and stuff. But definitely, I think Batista seemed to have a bit of a head on his shoulders back then, didn't he?
When you get into the business late, it was probably get in, grab as much as you can and get out, you know.
Like the Warrior, he took the Warriors because he was a big Warrior fan as well.
Look, he shook those ropes, and every time I see Big Dave do that, I'm like, somebody remembers. Somebody doesn't give a fuck what age thinks.
For sure, yeah.
I'd say every time you saw him do that, Jay, you sat back and went,
whoa! The crowd was wild, and now they're barred for watching sport events in public. Worked it.
You can imagine Batista coming back through the curtain and saying to him, "You need to stop doing that, Dave, or you'll never last in this business."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, John. I can't see you. Do.
Probably would have been someone like James E. Cornette saying that, though. You won't last in this business doing that.
I can't hear you either, John.
He done very well. What was the other one, Niall? You had another one there as well.
I'm going to skip the second one and go to the third one and come back to the second. Because the third one involves Big Dave and John Cena.
Oh, okay. We just do it as Four Podmen all the time, Jay, right?
So if you remember this one, this was 2005. And if you remember, Big Dave gets John up for the Batista bomb to go over the top rope. Poor old Dave forgets to grab onto the rope, and they both end up out on the floor.
Yeah.
You can't eliminate me.
There's a big deal made of this out on the floor. So then the two of them jump back into the ring, and he just grabs Cena and throws him over the top rope. That's it. Done.
Is that the one, Niall, where Vinnie Mac burst his 2 quads? Is that it? Is that one?
I think it is, yeah. That's the one.
I love that explanation that Joe just gave us. No, not the one that he burst his 2 quads. That's brilliant. lads.
That's the one where
Not only did I fuck up a rumble, I fucked up the boss in the same minute.
That was a funny scene. In fairness, like not that you like to look at people in pain, but you know when you look at Vince come down and bust the first one off the apron, but then he gets up, tries to walk it and bust the second one, and he's sitting in the corner going, ah.
I kind of like it.
I hope this is cramp. It's not cramp. We heard the tear, boss.
How did we not?
Batista did that.
Cover that, Jay? How did we not cover that under Vinnie Mac? That's fucking.
I've no idea. I mean,
and he
talk
came
about
back
suffering
quicker
for your
than
art. Yeah, he's the bionic man. There was a lot of human growth in the man at that time for a late age in his life. Do you know what I mean? He was still growing.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
At 67.
Just a little bit, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, Niall. I like that one actually.
So just to move on from Batista now, I think we've done enough.
Well, we never know when Batista's going to be talked about on this show, so you know why not give the man his.
He's probably going to have to get a show now.
I think so.
Definitely worthy, yeah.
Don't get on Joe's list though, Dave.
Deacon Dave.
Don't get on Joe's list.
You're on the list. You're gonna get it.
So the one I had in second on the list, but not in any order, was 1994. And if you remember, we had two Rumble winners, Brett and Lex.
Oh Jesus, yeah, they went over at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, and then our good friend Jack Tunney, I think, runs down to the ring and declares both of them winners.
Yeah. That was actually, to be fair, on that, I remember when the two of them went over, that was actually very good timing though, wasn't it, the way they done that? They actually done that very well. But I think a controversial moment on that same Rumble was also when The Undertaker died and went up to heaven, right?
Remember we left that subject.
Do you remember that? That was the same show.
Joe just perked up.
Okay, call back.
Sorry, lads. The official number is 42 now.
Yeah, because Undertaker did die that night. He died that night.
And counting.
I went into school the next day, right? And one of the lads, you remember him, Joe, Keith Dunn. He was one of the richer kids in school, and he always had Sky Sports, so they could watch it. And come in the next day, lads, it's all over the news. It's all over the news. I mean, 1994, we're 10 years old. The Undertaker's dead. He actually died on the show. And we were like, what? And he goes, yeah. So we all gave him like a tape each, and I think they recorded it on long play or something and gave us all a copy. And I brought it home to my dad. I was like, look, you can actually see his body leaving the fucking urn or leaving the casket. He's going up. Do you remember that? And then literally you could see Undertaker like that dead, like he was in his casket, and he opens his eye and he goes, I will not rest in peace. Of course, he came back then that summer, wasn't it, with the purple gimmick then? Ted DiBiase brought back the original Undertaker. Do you remember that? I brought him into the world. I can bring him back. Brilliant stuff. That was a great Rumble, man. That was actually a great Rumble.
There you go. So then, one that I'm sure you knew was going to be on the list anyway, because we've already covered it, was the 2000 one, where our good friend The Rock's feet touched the floor first, eliminating the Big Show.
Yeah.
So that was kind of controversial.
Kinda?
Kinda.
Kinda.
No VAR.
There you go, yeah. The Big Show, The Rock was basically Man United that day.
Yeah. Then I would say after that on our list was the 2015 one. And this is where Reigns continues the booing. If you remember, he should have won the 2014 one when he was really hot. So they decided not to push the button on that, and they said, actually, we'll do it in 2015. But what happened there was Reigns won, but Daniel Bryan again was hot at the time, and he was eliminated by Bray Wyatt after 10 minutes. And that good, I think it was in Philadelphia as far as I know, but that good Philadelphia crowd went crazy over this, because obviously Bryan being a former Ring of Honor guy, and that would be kind of their territory a little bit. They went crazy over this and just destroyed the match from a crowd perspective. So that was an interesting one. Yeah. So.
But Philly fans are known as being quite rabid anyway, regardless of what sport it is. So
They're all homeless. They get in for free. Controversy tonight. I just,
Rumble, what's that? It means I get to be warm for the night. That's a bit mean, Ian.
Yeah.
That's a bit mean.
It was mean, but Jay, to be honest with you, do you know what, Jay? I got the reaction from your face that I wanted, so I'm happy with that. My work is done for the night. I bid you all a good due.
Philadelphia's rocky country. That's a bit mean.
It's crazy.
The wrestling crowd were dodgy. The boxing fans are different.
Yeah, no, I was at the last Rumble there in Philly when Shinsuke won and I think Asuka won, was it? I think from my memory,
Yes, yeah, and the same, the two Japanese, yeah.
Yeah, and then Ronda Rousey made her debut. She came out on the stage.
I'm deadly.
Yeah.
You were at that one?
Yeah, I was at the oversized jacket, was it?
Fans were crazy.
Big Mark.
Crazy. Yeah.
You big Mark, Niall. How many shows have you been to? That's like jealousy coming through us, Be a big Mark.
I picked the good ones.
Oh, stop. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Joke's on you. I was at a CPW Northside event.
As a big CPW fan, I never ventured to the Northside one. It was always there.
You should have. It was interesting.
I'll tell you what, Niall, you're going to appreciate this one. Joke's on all of you. I wrestle for DCW. And everyone knows the controversy on that place. We'll leave that one parked.
I don't.
But
I'll tell you after the show. You'll find it very funny.
But the real question is, did you get paid?
Ooh, in Goodwill.
I
He
did
still
actually.
has a bucket of Goodwill at home.
I did actually. But you talked to Danny Deans about that, Jay, about that place. Yeah, I got paid. Made sure I got paid, and then I never came back.
Screw job. DCW.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think you might have been my agent at around that time as well, Jay, to be fair. I know it's gone back.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on my 15%.
So
I want a half bucket of Goodwill sent over to me by courier tomorrow.
Don't you worry. When this COVID shit is over, I've got you. Got that good Patreon money coming your way, brother.
Gonna spill all that Goodwill out of my bed. Gonna get naked. Gonna roll around in it for a few hours. Woo!
I'm just gonna bring you. I'm just gonna bring you Redbreast 12, and then that'll be enough.
Oof! The king of whiskies. That's your Royal Rumble winner right there.
There we go.
Is no one gonna point out that Jay went into a key mode there? No.
Yay, baby. Some say Jay never left the key mode. Woo,
that's actually true. Yeah, that's a Jay thing. You know what? There we go. We've established this, right? Let's have a bit more banter. Actually, Joe, he's the death guy, and Jay is the Akeem guy, the African dream guy. I mean, like, because we need to have that music playing in the background. Like,
we do. Joe Soul Bros. I have the shower playlist built on Spotify. It's just Joe Soul Bro 15 times repeated.
Slick is out there somewhere. Slick needs to come on the show sometime and just shoot the shit with us. Slick, if you ever come across 4 sexy Irish men like this, yeah, just
holla at your boys.
Holla, you know what I mean?
You got a room full of gimmicks right here. Woo!
Oh, damn straight. What else did you have, Niall, there? Because obviously that's all the controversial stuff. You had a couple of other things as well that you wanted to bring.
Yeah, I picked out a selection of the top rumbles, and then I picked out a selection of the kind of worst rumbles.
Okay.
So for the top rumbles, clearly 2001 is in there. We've already touched on that the last episode. Stone Cold, obviously, was a quality match. It was a golden attitude era one. We're wrestling at very high levels, with also levels of violence. And that sent us off. We were off and running with the Rock and Austin then after that. So it was highly influential for both those guys. Yeah. 1992 with Ric Flair speaks for itself. Stands the test of time. We also touched on that one before. Without a shadow of a doubt. I picked out 2003 because if you remember in 2003, entrance number 1 and 2 for you, Ian, was Chris Jericho and HBK.
Yeah.
Absolutely classic.
That was classic, yeah.
And then, if you remember, Brock ended up winning by eliminating Taker.
Yeah.
So,
You're giving away my kayfabe here and making me out to be a big HBK fan, which no one's meant to know. But Noel remembers this back in the day, and he's like, he just remembers me going, "That was unreal." Sexy boy. I am more. I have to say though, I am more impartial to. I love the Sherry version. I have to say, I really do love the Sherry version. I have to say, because she's just, Sherry. Sherry is everything. Anyway, we move right along.
Moving swiftly along.
Moving right along.
so
Like
then,
you said, Jay.
So then the last one we picked out was 2006. And this is the one where Ray and Triple H start the match and are also in the final three.
Yeah.
And it was a nice rub for Eddie Guerrero, if you remember, because it sent Ray obviously on the Podmania. But also, it set up the match between McMahon and HBK at Mania as well, when they had that match with Shane, which was, to me, such a brilliant match at Mania 22.
No, sorry to cut across you there. No, was that did Eddie not die in 05?
Yes, but what happened was this was the the salute to Eddie. If you
Oh,
like,
sorry, my apologies. Yeah,
because remember Ray won the Rumble and then he went on to Mania. And won the
my apologies.
against Randy Orton and Kurt Angle and Triple Threat.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah,
but it also set up because HBK sowed the seed because he came out as the he set up with the McMahon interference. He got involved in the McMahon interference in the Rumble and set up the match between himself and if you remember Vince coming out doing the muscle and fitness stuff in the body. And he had the posters of himself on the easels, ringside and all that.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant match between him and Shawn, actually. And Shane, remember Shane handcuffed to the bottom rope and Shawn was just beating him to death. So yeah, they're the ones I picked out as top rumbles. In terms of worst rumbles, 1995 I would describe as the Gone in 60 Seconds rumble. It was kind of a.
That's where Michaels won that against the Bulldog, right?
Yeah, but what happened is you had a lot of entrances were basically getting eliminated pretty quickly. There wasn't any much substance to it, and they also reduced the time for the entrances down to 60 seconds. Because it just didn't work out right, you know what I mean? It just didn't sit right, and there wasn't any substance to it, if you like.
They didn't do much with Davey in that year as well, because I thought Davey. I remember if I am right, I think Davey had the biker shorts that time. He had the Union Jack biker shorts, and he had the big tassels, and he had he finally took the hair out of that Whoopi Goldberg mold, and he had he had J hair basically, and that's a good thing.
Lucky bastard.
He basically, J hair, and it looked good. And
he did well with the women then,
I thought Bulldog looked fucking incredible at that time as well. He was having some good matches. Yeah, Jay, you're right.
If his hair was feeling it, his life was feeling it.
Trust me man. Oh yeah. He got rid of that other stuff from SummerSlam '92. He came back a new man. He got rid of the cornrows.
The fucking cornrows. Jesus Christ.
I'm David Bo Smith. From Wigan, and I wear cornrows, yeah?
Fucking urban street as fuck, you know what I mean? Fucking OG.
What was your man's name from that hosted Stars in the Rise on UTV? Tonight, Marty, I'm going to be Marty. Yeah. Tonight, Marty, I'm going to be Whoopi Goldberg in white form.
Bless him, he tried hard when he didn't have to. When he was just natural and letting it go, he was fucking brilliant. Like
Davey
he was still brilliant, damn. But cornrows take a lot away from
He looked
it's hard
great,
not to see anything else.
He looked great. I think shortly after that, I think his next gimmick then was obviously he was working with Lex Luger for a while, wasn't he, as the babyface tag team, and there was like the UK and the USA fucking. I don't even know what the name of that tag team was.
The UK USA connection.
yeah, just such a fucking great gimmick. That was
The
definitely Lord
transatlantic
Alfred
panic.
Hayes came up with that name, wasn't it? I have a great idea, Vince. The USA UK connection. I mean, it's brilliant.
God damn it, I'm sick of your geography bullshit. We got continentals, intercontinentals, world and champs, and tag team world intercontinental heavyweight champs.
All
Do
the
you not
while,
understand geography?
I'm sure Vince would have loved an Irishman back then. As Jay likes to say, he had to get poor El Hogan to pretend to be an Irishman.
Choke Rogan, shocker red hair, arms as big as tree trunks, all of the belts except for the intercontinental one.
Where was Sheamus when they needed him?
Play garden, play skilled. He was on the slides.
Yeah, somewhere. He was getting ready though. He was getting ready. He was on the way. Like.
He was at home saying, and his prayers, doing his training and taking his vitamins.
He was taking the A to Z to vitamins.
Ironically, though, to go and harken back to fucking the ropehead era, Davey Boy, he was a bit of a trailblazer, trendsetter now, because every UFC or MMA guy with long hair throws the dope ropes into their head before they get into the match.
And all, yeah.
They all do. So Davey was setting a very niche trend, mind you, but it was a trend nonetheless.
Dynamite was sitting at home ready to box the head off Davey when he ever came back to Wigan, and Davey was like, I'm staying away. I'm getting cornrows in here. Fucking resting bin, mate. I'm not fucking going near that fella. Me bollocks. It's fucking nut. He's a fucking nut job, mate.
Have you seen his head? Dead hard.
Dead hard. Yeah. Even in a fucking wheelchair, he fucked me up. I'm getting fucking.
It's got beads in it.
I'm getting fucking spray tan.
Where did you say? Where did you say you're doing that signing?
Where are you doing that fucking sign? And Dynamite sitting there ready. I'll fucking do you cunt.
The lid already off the big pen, ready to go.
I'll spit fucking straw at you prick.
Oh god.
Oh,
cornrows.
Cornrows, yeah, hell of a conversation.
Jay, you're gonna have to cornroll your hair for one.
I'm going to have to.
One night only, Jay. Rachel can actually do it. She's done it for the brother, so I'll get her to do it one night when COVID is open. Definitely, straight away. He can be in the Dynamo layer here with cornrows.
You see, I can't do it myself. I always try to do it drunk, and it's just all this fucking messy shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you sober up, and half your head is full afro, and the other half is just like matted rope. And like, what were you drinking last night? He says,
well, you know what? You look like a fine Celt or a Gael, as you like to say.
A Gael.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
My man.
Fuck yeah. That's really more of a French thing. We're not them.
Yeah, we'll get Rachel to do that. There's definitely going to be cornrows one night only on the Four Podmen with Jay Kennedy. And that night you are hosting. You're definitely hosting that night.
That ship's sinking, baby. Yes.
What else we got?
Yeah, sorry.
Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on.
I threw in the 2011 one because that's our famous 40-man one, our entrance.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the first half of it was basically made up of CM Punk's Nexus, just eliminating guys constantly. And then, of course, when we talk about Royal Rumble winners and what it did for their career, Del Rio wins this Royal Rumble and then goes on to Mania and loses the title match. So an interesting segue there off that 2011 Royal Rumble. So then I went for 2015. Reigns wins, but Kane and Big Show wins. Kane and Big Show eliminating most of the fan favorites, and it was bad booking in terms of Reigns because he really should have won the year before, and they kind of crapped on this one. Then, they weren't happy at all. The '99 one I put in here, which is known as the Legacy of Russo one. Apparently none of it made sense. Vince and Austin started and finished, but neither of them were capable of doing it. Austin was pretty banged up at the time, and of course Vince being Vince, you know what I mean. going to distance, but there was long gaps in the match where people were eliminated, and like there wasn't many participants in the ring at any one time, so there was just this wait for the next participant to arrive. And then the match Kane eliminated himself, if you remember.
You do, yeah.
Crazy time. So Vince won, but Michaels declared that the runner-up would get the title shot. So that's what happened in that one.
Yeah, that was a strange time for wrestling, wasn't it? Like, 99, because there was so much fucking weirdness going on, and God bless Vince Russo. Like, you know what I mean? I do keep in contact with the guy, but like, it's hard to defend some of the stuff. No offense to you, Vinny, if you're listening, but like, some of it was just absolute madness. Do you know what I mean? Just with like no cohesion whatsoever, like just pure another tripe, basically. It was you what?
Sorry, I think just from an outsider point of view, I'm not saying this is what he was thinking, but he was probably just going for shock value. You know what I mean?
He's going for car crash TV. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what it seemed to be like. You know what I mean? And were WCW beating them at that stage as well? Were they?
1999. It was kind of like
probably on the decline.
Yeah, they were
still a competition, but
but very
hindsight
not
says
as
they're not bouncing
good,
back.
Yeah.
So it could have been a case where they were just trying to create shocks so people would tune in to see what the hell was going on. Like,
they probably thought they were still in the middle of a war, whereas now, looking back, we know you aren't in the middle of a war
even
anymore.
A war going on. The war was in Atlanta with themselves, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Atlanta,
interesting.
GA.
So
interesting.
That rounded out the list basically of what I put together.
No, I like that. I have to say, no, I like.
Well, you were missing one shocking moment. One of my favorite unspoke of shocking moments that came up in the last Double Rumble when Randy eliminated himself and everybody just pretended that he didn't.
Yeah, it's like you didn't see that.
No, somebody else has to eliminate you. You can get out when you want. What? Can you? No, you can't.
I honestly think he got a note from a raven to say that someone was backstage knocking on Liz's door. To be fair. And he's like, I'm out of here. Definitely. I suppose that's really cool stuff. Like, is there anything that anyone wants to bring up before we kind of say look at the rumbles, over the years, and look at the winners, and just kind of go? I mean, there's going to be certain people that come up multiple times. But then maybe what we can do, actually, I suppose, Jay, you suggested this to me the other night. We can look at, now, I mean, genuine people. Let's not just, put in.
Was I drinking?
Yeah, we were drinking. Yeah.
Well, fuck yeah, let's work away.
Of course we were. We were talking though about looking at contenders that should have possibly won the Rumble and had that main event match, and we were saying not genuine people now, not like Rikishi should have had his shot. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, genuine contenders. Like, I mean, I know people used to say Christian should have had his shot and all that stuff, but like, there is people that you can look at there that, that really should have had a shot and had their moment,
Yeah, like if in the first one Jim Duggan can win a Rumble, surely we've had men since who should have had the ability to win a Rumble.
There you
and
go.
Not running around with a piece of wood hitting people in it.
Yeah.
The original hardware match.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, but speaking of that, let's go through them. So, 1988, first Royal Rumble. Jim Duggan obviously wins it, as Joe said earlier as well. Like, I mean, there wasn't any, I suppose, caveat as to going to WrestleMania at that time and getting a title shot. But I mean, Jim Duggan was a pretty big star. I mean, he was a very, very solid hand. He was a great worker down in Mid-South, especially before they put the 2x4 gimmick in him. I mean, you talk to anybody. I remember hearing Raven talk about how Jim Duggan was one of his favorite workers, and he was always known as a solid hand, tough man, legitimately inside and outside.
He was hard over and beloved by everybody.
Yes.
He was the definitive character wrestler. If you're loving a man for somebody who he's portraying on screen, there was a charisma in Duggan which is undeniable. And as a fucking child, you just lost your shit. Hacksaw, when he came down with that plank, it was to save somebody.
Yeah.
And whoever was saved needed saving, and it was usually a super baby face. Duggan, I love Duggan. I won't have a word said against him. Not even the fact that he ran around in that big blue man nappy for
I love that. I love that blue and the blue knee pads and the blue boots. Would you agree, lads, that would you agree? Well, you will agree, obviously, because there's no denying it. When you're young, you forget how actually big Duggan was. It's only when you go back and watch and you see him standing beside the likes of Hogan, you're like, fuck, he was actually a huge man. And even to this day, with all of his health problems and stuff, he still maintains a lot of that fucking stature. Like, the man still works out. Like,
yeah, he's a big man.
Very respected man within the world of professional wrestling, and career probably should have went a lot further, I think.
Yeah, listen, he knows the reasons why it didn't, and the business knows the reasons why it didn't.
Jicky baby.
Well, he was a company man, and he always told the company line, and that's the reason why when so many fucking old school gimmick wrestlers don't ever get the phone call, Vinnie Mac will put a phone call out to Duggan, even just to give the ho and make sure the man gets a payday for his loyalty and his love of the business. Like, man, remember that time when somebody walked out with Duggan when they were on the ramp and he was already knocked out and there was no explanation for it? They just walked out with him on dragged by the foot and was like, "Here's one I prepared earlier." And he was like, "That's actually Jim Duggan. What the hell happened to him?" There's no reason or explanation, and the fact that Duggan lay on his back and allowed that to happen, a lifer.
Yeah,
I love Hacksaw.
And and a genuinely nice guy. You can see it in him when he's talking to people. I mean, he slapped the shit out of a reporter. If anyone ever wants to see a really cool, cool video when wrestlers attack, Jim Duggan is one. Jim Duggan is one that
it's still real to him.
Oh man, he shocked a reporter one time, and I'll tell you, the motherfucker didn't say much else. Moving along here, 1989, Big John Studd. One of the most popular figures, actually, back in the day, the LJNs. The Big John Studd figure was actually one of the most popular ones, believe it or not. To a lot of people, I know Jay and Noel would know that because of their
age.
Well, no, but you're interested in collecting like me. I wasn't going to say your age. Good Lord.
Because of our vintage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The Rolls Royce of pundits, baby. Woo.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, Big John Studd definitely should have had a more illustrious career than he had. Obviously, he wasn't going to last long in WWE because of obviously Andre's hatred of him. And he had a genuine fear of Andre. He thought he was going to get the shite kicked out of him pretty much every time he went out with him. They just the boss said no.
That's the boss. I was going to say, you don't get, there's already a bigger shadow being cast in that company, and you don't get to come near it. Take your fucking bag with your 15 grand and split, baby, because you just made pay.
Yeah,
you know,
and that was it. Like, and Big John Studd, not much really. I mean, he had some. He was always still working, and you know, he went to WCW, he went to different places, he went to USWA and all that kind of stuff, but nothing major. 1990 and 91, both in Florida, one in Orlando, one in Miami, and of course, it is obviously the Florida hero himself, Jay's favorite superstar, and yours, the immortal Hulk Hogan, wins it 2 years in a row. And as you can see, Jay is just lost for words as to express his love for those two Rumbles in particular. Yeah. So obviously, the first one, Noel, you mentioned as well. The first one Hogan wins isn't really for nothing as such, because obviously you don't go to Mania. He was the champ anyway.
Looking for
another notch in his bedpost. Yeah, it was another notch in his bedpost.
Another notch on the belt. Yeah, exactly.
He was looking for a double payday. He was going to go face himself at Mania.
Yeah. Well, some would argue at WrestleMania 6 he did face himself. You know.
You don't know. He couldn't wrestle a shadow. He wouldn't put it over.
Some would say he wrestled a broomstick at WrestleMania 6. I don't know. I wouldn't be that guy to be that controversial. I'm just saying. I'm only fucking with you. No, he goes to WrestleMania 6. Obviously, let's be real. Still, we've talked about it on this podcast before. It was Jay's debut. Still one of the most entertaining main events in WrestleMania history for me. Just from start to finish, with the whole build up to it.
The apex of the golden era.
Yeah. The ending of it, like, I mean, I still have a magazine at home, a WWF magazine from I believe it's the month of April actually, and it has
It
the
was.
picture of the Warrior standing.
It's the
with
1st
that
of
big
April. It was on my
box.
birthday.
Yeah, do you know the one I'm talking about? And it has the electric.
I love it, yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable.
The graphic and artwork of that whole Mania, regardless of my personal opinions on Hulk Hogan, which
No, it was incredible.
you may or may not be aware of, all of the artwork and all of the shit from that whole era with Hogan v anybody, it was bigger. It was like monster movie shit. It was.
It was.
They were titans. They were titans.
There were different different breeds back then. Then of course 1992 we've already and like we talk about Hogan's career, that obviously went on, and yeah,
did it really?
Made lots of money.
He went back to the Indies, did he?
92. What? After 1990.
Finger poking.
Well, in 1990, yeah, he was still around, obviously, and then went and made Suburban Commando and Mr.
Heavily
Nanny.
sarcastic. Heavily sarcastic.
Suburban Commando is a fantastic
We're
film.
Peter now. Tender in paradise. Yes.
So
the original crossover star.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, absolutely. Ric Flair, 1992. I mean, we can't really say much about Ric Flair other than
Woo!
Yeah, other than woo, you know.
And check out our last episode to hear more.
1993. The big man wins it. The Japanese lad coming straight out of Hawaii, Yokozuna. I mean, this is kind of when Yokozuna was red hot in terms of he was just the sheer size of the man, but also the workability of the man. He looked like he was killing lads when he was dropping that leg drop or the bonsai drop, you know. Obviously taken from the Karate Kid bonsai.
He was killing lads.
Well, some lads, in fairness, he was safe with other
Get
lads.
your pen, Joe.
Well,
Get your
Joe
pen.
will tell you whether he was killing lads or not, right? Joe will
Write
be
this
the
shit down,
fucking
Joe.
judge. Joe will be the judge of this.
Your mission, Joe, if you care to accept it.
How many people did Yokozuna kill for real?
Not as many as typhoons and earthquakes.
No. So
No, he was a beast.
And that Rumble Ian was also the first one where the winner went on to face the champ at Mania.
it was the first one. So yeah, because obviously, because Hogan won the 1991. So obviously the Warrior won because he was the Intercontinental Champion. And back then they done it like boxing where
And
it was the number one contender.
Best.
So this was the first one. Yeah, you're right, Joe. This is the first one where they actually go on because obviously Flair won it for the title the previous year as well.
The vacant title, that's right, yeah.
So Yokozuna, obviously, yeah, he goes on and basically becomes world champion. And then obviously WrestleMania that year, he's in the main event against the Hitman, Mr. Fuji. He throws the salt in the eyes, and then Hulk Hogan comes back down and wins the belt anyway. For literally 5 seconds of work, if you can call it that.
Because he was unwilling to pass it to a better man. That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. And so then on 1994, which of course Noel already talked about, there was the first double winners, Bret Hart and Lex Luger, which obviously that year at Madison Square Garden, WrestleMania, they're both on double duty. Bret wrestles Owen in the opener. Lex wrestles Yokozuna for the world title, mid card somewhere. And the winner of that match would then go on to face Bret later in the show. I think that's when Vince realized Lex Luger cannot work. This is over, and we're going with Piper as the guest referee and Bret and Yoko in the main event, and the rest, as they say, is history. Then 1995, of course, Tampa, Florida again. Shawn Michaels gets his first proper taste now of getting the limelight because he's obviously doing the rounds as the Intercontinental Champion, and Michaels around this time was having great matches with Jeff Jarrett in particular. From what I remember, had really good work with Jeff Jarrett. He was having good matches with everyone from the likes of Adam Bomb and whoever. It's like we said before, At this time, Michaels and Brett could literally have a match with anybody and make the roster look good. So Michaels gets his fair due, and wins the Rumble. And then in 1996, same thing happens. Michaels wins again. And it was a really, that one was a little bit better. It meant a little bit more because Michaels had really kind of got himself over in that year, in that space between, January 95 to January 1996, in my opinion, anyway. I'm sure that's open to debate for some people. But
First double winner as well.
Yeah.
You can tell the company's behind you when you've done 2 in a row.
You see, the difference is
wasn't
that
the first double
Hogan
winner.
did it.
Hogan did it
Hogan
in
did the double, did he?
Hogan did it in 1990 and 91, yeah.
Of course. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but
But the difference
I don't know what
is,
you're talking about, Joe. I have
but
no
the difference
idea.
is Michaels won it though in 1995 as a heel
And a wrestler.
and a wrestler, yeah. But he won it as a heel, and obviously went to WrestleMania that year to face Diesel, and he had Pamela Anderson. No, he thought he was going to have Pamela Anderson on his arm. He had Jenny McCarthy, and of course it was. Oh no, he had Pamela Anderson on his arm, and Diesel had Jenny McCarthy. Sorry, Shawn Michaels won that one too. Sorry, Jenny McCarthy, but Pamela Anderson was life back then, and fuck you.
True, PETA versus anti-vax.
There you go. And Michaels came out with
Battle of the Blondes.
Yeah. And Pamela won. There was only ever going to be one winner.
She always will.
Always
She
will.
always will.
She is number one. Jenny McCarthy.
Toy. Often imitated, never duplicated. Always big love for Pam.
You know what, Jay?
Always big love.
Have the glass. Let's raise a glass to Pammy.
Absolutely. Never forgot. Even if it's
Rachel never watches these shows, so Rachel never watches these shows, so I'm all good, baby. Plus, I was fucking 11, so
I didn't know what was happening, but I knew something was happening.
I knew something was happening. My pants were moving, but I mean, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Come on, man.
I need to go to bed. Why? Shh! I have to go.
As Joe Biden himself says, "Come on, man." So, 1997, a great Rumble, actually. San Antonio, Texas. I remember Michaels obviously wrestled Sid in the main event for the world title in this one. Basically told his own mentor, what was his name? Jose fucking Lothario to fuck off.
Lutez. Jesus, yes.
Yeah, and you told, this is how you knew Sean was becoming a dick when he was just treating his own mentor like a piece of shit. But
yeah, and when you go back and read on Lutez, though, Jesus, Jesus and titty Christ, no business if it wasn't for men like him. That's one of the marks of disrespect. As much as I love Sean,
yeah,
reading back on his treatment of Lutez and that whole situation. Get a grip on your pill bottle, you piece of shit.
Yeah, but I mean, it was an incredible, because the Alamodome was fucking humongous as well. And this was the one, obviously, this was a great end to the Rumble as well, because this is what set the stage for the Stone Cold Bret Hart rivalry, of course. This is where Stone Cold's coming in, as we said last week, the Weasley heel. You know, he was like being a sneaky fucker. And Bret has already won the Rumble. He's thrown everyone out. He even threw Austin out. The referee didn't see it, and Austin sneaks back into the ring, and Bret's celebrating and fucks him over. And it's like, this is just, I mean, the build up to this, the story build to this is actually absolutely fantastic, because you're setting the seeds for Bret to become a bitter cunt, and then you're looking at him going, Jesus, he's every right to be a bitter fucker when you look at that. Like, that's blatant. You know what I mean?
Somebody else, he just told him to be himself.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. And so Stone Cold
with that, sorry.
Go ahead.
So with that 97 Rumble,
yeah.
Was there some kind of deal with AAA or CMLL? Because there was an awful lot of luchadors on that one.
There was an
awful lot.
Yeah, I actually still have that. Again, I still have, as you know, Joe.
Was that the year Mil Mascaras did the In and Out?
I'm not too sure about that, Jay. I'm not too sure, but Joe was actually right, because Joe, as you know, you remember the stacks of magazines I had in the house. They were basically filled the bedroom. I couldn't even sleep. But I had one, and I remember on the front of that, it was just Mexican stuff all over, even the front cover. So there must have been like some sort of deal there, definitely. I think they were sponsored by that Super Soaker thing that they had. Remember the Mexican Super Soaker yoke? was like, why don't you get yourself one of these for Christmas? And I was like, well, it's only fucking January. Christmas is only over. Like, the Mexicans gone Christmas already round 2. It's okay, man. Just get it in. I'll remember next year, man. January. Yeah, so Austin won that. And then, of course, the next year, Royal Rumble 1998, when Stone Cold's a lot more established this time now. This time around, he's not coming in. He's not coming as the Weasley heel. He's coming in as just the fucking most popular man on the planet, pretty much. And he wins, obviously, to go ahead and face Shawn Michaels in the main event at WrestleMania. And of course, that is the infamous match where Shawn hurt himself against the Undertaker in the casket match for the title. So it's crazy looking back on this, and you're seeing little bits of history kind of popping up to you. Do you know what I mean? Anyone want to kind of maybe elaborate on that a little bit, because that is quite an important moment in wrestling history, because we're talking about Shawn Michaels, who was supposed to be in his prime after Vince has put all the eggs into the basket, screwed Brett. Brett's gone. Shawn is his boy now. Shawn, this time, when you look at him, Jesus Christ, I mean, the brown rings under his eyes from the pills and whatnot. And that's not being judgmental. Obviously, we all have our crosses to bear and we all have our moments. That's not a judgment on my part. I'm just saying, yeah, that's definitely one of those. That's definitely one of those. But no, Shawn. But Shawn definitely in a different place. Shawn's definitely in a different place at this point. And yeah, look, so anyone want to elaborate on that? Because it's a very interesting time here. You're really, really seeing something that, like, obviously Vince before Stone, for Stone Cold,
it's
blows
interesting, yeah,
completely up. Because he probably thinks at this time that Austin is never going to be the same after the neck, because that was only SummerSlam, don't forget. You know what I mean? And Shawn is meant to be the golden boy here. And hopefully Austin comes back one day and picks up where he left off. But a lot changes in a very short space of time between Montreal and Royal Rumble 1998. You know what I mean? 3 months, basically, lads.
Karma.
Possibly, yeah.
The porn star?
No, the wrestler.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, have a conversation about that, lads, because I find it very interesting personally. As I say, Michaels hurts himself in the match. Still the champ. Austin comes back. Like, this is fucking 360.
You got to figure if Michaels hadn't hurt himself, so I suppose so visually it's a nasty snap when you see that, and whether or not he was in good form or not, mentally or physically, the guy had the ability to switch the fucking switch on, walk out to the ring and take care of business, regardless of his state of mind or where he was at the time. We've seen that from previous fucking incarnations of him, but you've got to wonder if he hadn't have fucked us back up, whether or not the land would lay the way it does right now. Like you said, there was a transitionary period there when it went from fucking the golden child to the guy who should have never been, and he just fucking rolled all over it and ran with the fucking ball hard.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's what we'll do, actually. We'll take a little break after this one, because we did say we would talk about where careers went. And I think this is where kind of the conversation gets interesting, because
absolutely, the transitionary period.
That injury wasn't a joke. I had the same. That's the exact same injury I had, just except mine wasn't on a casket, but just literally tipping that lower back the same way. It's I will forever have sympathy for Shawn Michaels with that one, 100%.
Yeah.
No man deserves that, regardless. That was, I mean, yeah. I mean, we talk about that. It's actually, yeah. Let's take a break, because I'm interested to see what Jay has to say about that.
Joe's going to need to take a second as well. We have a casket injury, and
okay, yeah. Welcome back to the Four Podmen. As we mentioned just before the break, we were going to talk about the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Obviously, the fact that he had won the Royal Rumble back in 1997. In very, very similar to Shawn Michaels, because Shawn Michaels won it as a heel in 1995 and then won it as a babyface in 1996. So 2 completely different fan reactions in both years. And then it was the exact same then with Stone Cold Steve Austin then in 1997 and 98. In 97, he obviously basically screwed over Brett to win it, and the fan favorite, got screwed in plain sight. And then obviously the next year, Austin wins it as pretty much the same character, except now he's over as a babyface. Yeah, he's still a bastard. You know what I mean? Goes on to meet Shawn Michaels as well. It's crazy. You've got 4 years there, 2 blocks of Michaels, 2 blocks of Austin's. And so strange how the career trajectory went in the following years. You know, Michaels obviously pretty much retires, and you think that's the end of him after WrestleMania 14. Austin's on the uphill climb, shall we say? And it wasn't really a climb; it was pretty much a stair lift all the way to the top of the mountain, because he was just riding that success and doing it with such ease. To be fair, still the
I'd say
biggest.
it was more of a.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I'd say it was more of a rocket than a stair lift. Even
Rocket, even, yeah, that's
Fuck off.
probably it. Yeah, I mean, the biggest T-shirt seller in the game in history, I believe.
Probably still.
Still, yeah. Well, 1998, I know this from our good friend Finley Martin back in the day when the financials came out. He had the record year in 1998 for selling. I think he made 9 million that year.
Oof.
Absolutely incredible for a pro wrestler, like, you know what I mean. I would dare say that's never been equaled. Maybe only John Cena as possibly.
Sometimes it pays not to quit your day job.
Yeah, maybe only John Cena could probably have a conversation in that one. But yeah, so I mean, Austin, he goes to the moon. The next year, Mr. McMahon obviously wins it. That was the 1999 one that you were talking about, Noel. There's not really much to talk about where Vince's career went with that. That was more to kind of keep the to keep that storyline with Austin and McMahon going. But the following year, then Royal Rumble 2000, we finally get to see the young man from Florida / Hawaii, son of Rocky Johnson, grandson of the great High Chief Peter Maivia, The Rock, wins the Royal Rumble and goes to WrestleMania 15. I think they called it that, didn't they, as well? They just called it WrestleMania. They had a weird kind of an outlay for that. I know. Oh no, sorry, that was 2000 I was thinking about. Is that the one I'm thinking about? No.
Yeah.
They just called it WrestleMania 2000. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. But yeah, WrestleMania 15, first time Austin and Rock meet like in such a high level, and good Lord, were those two boys born to be dance partners. I know that's WrestleMania. We shouldn't really be talking about that because that'll probably come up in in conversation. But I mean, where do we go by saying where the Rock's career went after winning the Royal Rumble 2000? Highest paid actor in the fucking world, basically.
President of the world.
In the world, yeah.
President of the world.
He is the president of the world.
He's the most famous person on the planet.
He is definitely the most famous person on the planet for sure. And then, of course, next year, 2001, The Rock wins, Stone Cold wins it again. So we're seeing a trend here. Stone Cold becoming a bit of a Hogan. No, I'm only joking. He deserves it.
Unfortunately for the past, you got a 2-horse or 3-horse race now in the business, which is real interesting. That never really happened before. Well,
that's it. And then the following year after that, Triple H gets his name into history, and I will hear no bad word about Triple H on the Four Podmen. I'll tell you
this week.
Before any of you say anything bad about Triple H, it won't go past these years. All right. Everyone knows how I feel about that man, and believe it or not,
fucking swerve.
Everyone knows how big a H fan I really am, to be fair. And
it's my favorite letter in the alphabet.
Absolutely. And if you say it 3 times, it's even more favorite.
It wasn't me. I knew nothing about it.
I knew nothing. I swear to God. No, but Triple H, in fairness, in this era, like, my good Lord, we've talked about it, all the way from 2002. Well, from 2000 all the way up to like 2005 or 6 was, he that was
intense.
That was his big run, I believe. That run was awesome. So obviously H goes on to control the company basically and have main events and different stuff and hold the title on numerous occasions. So we know his career is obviously benefited from winning the Royal Rumble. But I mean, he was he was already in the conversation anyway at this point. Now the following year we get a bit of youth in the mix. 2003 in Boston, we get Brock Lesnar winning it for the first time. So this is now where Brock Lesnar comes in and people are like, holy shit, who the fuck is this genetic freak? That traps literally should have their own zip code. And each of them, not just one, or not just both. Paul Heyman as his mouthpiece. I said that before Jay corrected me.
I wasn't listening.
So Paul Heyman as his mouthpiece, a perfect combination. Brock Lesnar has that kind of Mike Tyson, it's like gunshot in the Bronx. You can't really have that guy doing your promos. You know what I mean? Like, Mike, you're phenomenal. Don't speak. Just look angry. Look angry. And it's the same deal here with Brock Lesnar. Like, he's talking. He's a farm boy. And you're like, shit, those steroids didn't do nothing for your fucking gravel in your voice, did it? Smoke a few Marlboro Reds there, Brock, please. But they get Heyman involved, and that's all you need. It's perfect.
It was a stroke of genius.
It really was, wasn't it? Like, and I would dare say as well, because Noel, actually, all three of you boys, Noel, Joe, and Jay, you all have actually said this, that there's not enough managers anymore.
Roy's to the manager.
Exactly. So what do you think? Let's actually spend a bit of time on Brock there now as well, and Paul Heyman, because that's a good conversation. Why don't you start with that, Joe? Because you were a big Heyman fan anyway, because you were an ECW boy, and Heyman had kind of come in on commentary, I believe, beforehand anyway, hadn't he? So he'd already kind of got his value and his name, within the company to the fans that wouldn't have known about him. So putting him as
even long before that, mate, when he was Paulie Dangerously in WCW.
Paulie Dangerously.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to the world didn't know who that was, though. But this is what I'm saying to you. In the modern era of professional wrestling, for the people that were just coming onto it, say from 2000 onwards, that weren't ECW fans or WCW fans, this was Paul Heyman reintroducing himself, is what I mean.
Yeah. And as you said, I think he did some commentary first to kind of let people know who the hell he was before they put him on the main stage.
Yeah, his reintroduction.
Mic in his hand properly, like which was a good idea, to be fair, because that's I probably shouldn't mention this, but that's a problem AEW have. They introduce a lot of these indie guys, and half the people don't know who the hell they are. Yeah, and they kind of fall in a bit flat sometimes. So that was that. All right, but
all the time.
So it was a good idea to have this kind of slow introduction to who this guy was before putting him on the main stage like that. But it was a stroke of genius putting him with Brock Lesnar, because they realized Lesnar's shortcomings, couldn't really talk much on the mic. So instead of forcing him onto the mic and possibly taking away from his gravitas and his aura of being an absolute monster, get someone to do the talking for him. Just let him go in and murder people then. And in fairness, there's quite a few guys over the years that could have done with a mouthpiece.
Yes.
Let them do their talking in the ring. And, they've been let down.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Joe. Noel, does anyone come to mind on that point that Joe made of people that could have done with a mouthpiece when you think of it off the top of your head in the modern era?
Batista.
Ziggler.
Who?
Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler?
Yeah.
Really?
Dolph Ziggler would be a call for me in terms of, I think he had a great look. I think he's a fantastic wrestler. Great worker and stuff like that. But he never kind of, reached that level of stardom in terms of, when he talked on the mic, did you really kind of believe it, or was it just kind of like, you know what I mean? I think if he had had Heyman, or if he had been, part of a stable, I sometimes ponder, like, what would have happened?
Well, he was part of the shit. He was part of that crew that used to bounce on trampolines.
The Spirit Squad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have given him a Heyman. I would have given him a good, strong lady valet, a la Sherry
type. Yeah.
Good, strong female mouthpiece who ain't afraid to hook a leg or distract it.
Vicky Guerrero.
Anybody. But again, to go with the glam rock fucking shit, a piece of eye candy with a lot of brain and a lot of mouth.
But you know something, I think
Noel's right. I'm with Noel on that. I agree with you, Noel. I do.
I think because he was such a good worker, and he was so solid. I think if he had ramped up the intensity a little bit,
Yes.
and you had to put him with you had to put him through like, not dissimilar to Brock, but a very serious character with a Heyman beside him or something like that, and put him in there as a real nasty heel, I think he would have elevated his character hugely.
Well, could I just say something on that point, actually, with Ziggler? I think, I know, Jay, you're a big fan of him as well, and I am too, but I think I always felt there was something missing too in terms of his promos, and I think I know what Noel means. He's got that real squeaky, high-pitched voice when he gets angry. He's like, I get it. And you're like, man, I don't believe that. You're not coming across as tough at the moment. And the thing about him is, he's one of the legitimate tough guys in wrestling. The man's amateur wrestling record is just astronomical. He's another guy that could legit fuck you up. I think Jay is right, though, in terms of he's that type of guy that's that's Shawn Michaels circa 92, 93. And if you put him with a strong female lead there, he doesn't need to do much other than look in the mirror and look at himself and look good. And he can build on his.
I think he's also mid-card comfortable and has no interest in pushing it further than where it is.
I think he already thought he was Shawn Michaels and that he was better than everyone else. That his attitude, unfortunately, is what let him down backstage. Because he used to shout at lads, "Top that!" backstage the way Shawn Michaels did. And he didn't even have the drugs. Do you know what I mean? So at least Shawn had an excuse.
I love that though.
I always thought with him that a lot of his stuff was kind of rushed. And I thought if he slowed it down a bit and made it more meaningful, you could have had nearly the second coming of Mr. Perfect with some sort of a Bobby Heenan type.
Absolutely. I'd agree.
I always felt he rushed everything. So it kind of like his promos were rushed so you didn't gravitate to them.
I'd agree.
You're right.
It wasn't meaningful enough.
Yep. Spot on.
And this is coming. I'm a Ziggler fan. Like, I'll put that
so am I.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
He's one of the good guys in there, if you like. You know what I mean? But I just think he could have been so much more. I think he's such a great look. I think his ring work, without a doubt, was fantastic, which just needed to be made more meaningful in terms of the speed, in terms of the intensity, in terms of having someone to soundboard off, like a Bobby Heenan type, Paul Heyman type, or something like that. I think that, they did do a run in there with him for a while, didn't they, with Vicky Guerrero, who was over. I think she was over at the time as a real heel sort of man or ballet type thing. You know what I mean? And I know, obviously, it's Vicky Guerrero, but it wasn't really as meaningful. You know what I mean?
Well, they tried to do something like that with him for a while with AJ Lee. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But really backstage, he was banging CM Punk, so I'm sure he was like, "Get this fucking lad away from me, Mott." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's kind of I can see those points. To be fair, it's kind of like a similar conversation that we have about Kenny Omega now. You know what I mean? You're like, dude, you've got all the tools in terms of you can execute the moves. You can do that. That's no problem. You've got a good body, but man, your facial expressions look hokey. You're a shit talker, and you just need to concentrate on your in-ring work and just looking pretty.
Well,
I'm not saying they're the same thing. Not at all.
No, I see. No, but you're making a similar point. The pair of them are doing impressions of what they seen as an era of wrestling in the past, and it's like Niall said as well, doing too much too quick before it's allowed to settle with us.
Exactly.
It's like a band releasing an album every week. If you don't let the audience know the songs, why are you changing the set? I mean, Guns N' Roses toured the world for fucking 3 years with the Appetite set before the thing even took off. With pro wrestlers as well. Dolph Ziggler is not happy being Dolph Ziggler. For a while there, it was like, why are you trying to be 10 years of the Intercontinental title all the time? Like, let me get used to who you are before you fucking switch it up on me. And it's the same with Kenny Omega. I was like, why are you trying to rush 10 years of a career into 40 minutes of wrestling with every guy you wrestle? Slow it down. Let us enjoy your work. And you can obviously work.
You can actually see that that's starting to come to fruition now in AEW with Kenny Omega, that he has Don Callis there as his mouthpiece. Don Callis is a great talker. He can come across as the shady fucking businessman trying to look after his own interests and rock the apple cart. You know what I mean? And create the voids. So Kenny Omega doesn't need to do that now. And for the first time ever, you're going to hear it, an exclusive on the Dynamo Podcast Network. I'm actually going, right, now I'm interested in Kenny Omega. Now I want to see how you react in the ring. I don't want to see you going, jazz hands and going 100 million miles an hour, because now you're the heel, you're the champion. You need to show me the shortcuts that you're willing to take to maintain that championships. You need to slow it down, baby. You know what I mean?
The problem though, in his own company, unfortunately, he's run through 4.5 years of quality opponents in about 6 fucking months. Like, he's run through all his quality programs, and all that's left is the bottom of that barrel.
Yeah, but I think as a heel, there's still something there. I think there is. I'm going to give them a chance on that one. I think there's something there. And look, we won't give out away on that, because we are going to be doing this.
Super segue tonight.
That's actually a great segue, in fairness, Jay, as to what we're going to do, and we can kind of announce that now, because what we are going to be doing over the coming weeks, all of us are going to be taking all of the shows that we all enjoy watching on, whether it be NWA, Ring of Honor, WWE, SmackDown, Raw, AEW. We're all going to be taking a couple of shows each week and just doing like a 30 to 40 minute kind of show, just based on what we're watching, and talk about some modern stuff as well. But that's to come. But we just thought we'd drop that in there. It was a great segue by Jay there, and we'll be remiss without mentioning it. So going back to what Joe's point was.
Yeah, Joe, sorry, bring us in.
Yeah, no, but it was a great point that Joe made, and that's why we kind of
Well, the main point was just
Sorry, Joe, that was excellent.
No, you're fast. It was just to realize that some people do have limitations, and just instead of exposing them, actually protect them and look after them that way. So give them a mouthpiece to do the talking for them, and let them just do their talking in the ring, as they say.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And of course, Royal Rumble 2004, and speaking of mouthpieces, and someone that could have done with a mouthpiece, of course, is the you're gonna love this, Joe, Chris Benoit.
Beast of a wrestler.
Any statistic?
And a man who couldn't talk.
Any statistic, Joe?
No, I'm not touching that.
His mind, I'm trying to cut through the tension with a knife. I'm going to interject here. Speaking of men who could have used with a mouthpiece, in that company in particular, most certainly Benoit. He wasn't much on the stick, was he?
How good would Heyman have been for Benoit as well? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, wow, yeah, that combination.
That would have been, especially as Benoit as a heel. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't believe in Benoit as a babyface, because he wasn't a babyface type worker. In the ring, he just wanted to hurt people. You know what I mean? It's like he's the rabid Wolverine. He is the fucking, he's a vigilante. He just wants to go in. He's the Punisher, basically. He's the real life Punisher. And I thought Heyman, with someone like Benoit, imagine Heyman had a stable, because people that think a stable doesn't work in modern wrestling can go and kiss my arse, really, because look at the Heenan family, man. You know what I mean? Imagine the stable of Benoit and Brock Lesnar. In fact, just the three of them, Heyman with his two boys. Like, good Lord, that would have been genius. I know we're trying to rewrite history there, but
no, you're not wrong.
Do you know how you rewrite all that? You put all the belts on everything.
Yeah.
Give them all the belts.
Yeah. Every loose end, every hard ass, fucking missing tooth, badass, grazed knuckle, loose end into one stable of hay, and let them all say fuck all except for one central mouthpiece who does all the talking for them. The reason stables don't work now is because everybody wants to be the fucking superstar. There's too much spotlights and not enough talk to him, and that's a problem.
And the funny thing about it is, when we talk about the Heenan family, every member of that family, bar Andre the Giant, could speak. Mr. Perfect was a hell of a promo. Rick Rude was a hell of a promo, but their ego wasn't so big that they were like, Bobby's better. Let him take it. Yeah.
But,
no, go ahead. I know you want to.
When you said that there's no room for stables anymore, one of the biggest things in wrestling today is the Bullet Club.
Still, yeah.
You know what I mean? Still, like, and that's a massive stable. Like.
Created by an Irishman somewhere in a small town in Wicklow. I'm not too sure. I heard he's a pretty all right fella. Like, yeah.
Dynamo Mahoney.
Fuck you.
Fuck
you, motherfucker.
Quite a controversial topic at the moment, the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
in
yeah,
the
but,
press,
yeah.
all right.
Well, let's talk about it then. We hit us with that there, Niall, because you know what, I'm quite not clued into this. So why don't you hit us with a bit of
Well,
controversy?
didn't you have wrestlers coming out on Impact the other night rocking Bullet Club t-shirts, and the original crew retweeted that they weren't too happy about that fact.
Oh,
And
so
there's
as in you know, certain people in WWE and all as well.
No. Just
I
Tama,
don't need to send a
wasn't it?
text, so
No. Tama came out and wasn't impressed with the wearing of the Bullet Club t-shirts. I think on Impact last week, I think it was, or something like that. So,
but
interesting.
he wanted to batter your man a little while ago, Enzo, didn't he?
Yeah, proper order.
even before that, Niall, the week before in AEW, when you had the Good Brothers, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega throwing up the Too Sweet, he wasn't happy about that either. Like he was giving out.
But why is he
Not a happy
moaning
camper.
about that when that was Prince Devitt and the Young Brothers thing anyway? So, Tama, shut the fuck up. Don't come
Yeah,
after
but you
me.
can see his
He's
point
in
when
the
you
Bullet
water
Club
down
now.
a product. Yeah, when you water down a product, even though you know what, sometimes there's work inside works, and I think maybe they're all sharing a little fucking message to each other. So you know what? You know what could do with a little fire lit under it? Do
Yeah.
you remember the original name? And if every company bar the one who has the gaffer, the Mac Daddy, sitting down there earning soft money, doing the best wrestling of his fucking, latter career, it's again, work inside of work.
If I know that Prince Devitt, he's sitting there creating little divides going, here, I wouldn't take that, Tama. If I was you, I wouldn't take that. Joe, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Here, Tama, if I was you, I'd be onto them. I'm telling you. That's a lot of bollocks. I left you
You're
in
gonna let them do that? You're gonna let them say that?
I wouldn't take that. And to be fair, I said fuck Tama.
Meanwhile, the t-shirts roll off the press and go many ways across the globe into many arenas.
I take back fuck Tama instantly because I actually love that man. And I was just trying to be a little bit controversial. To be fair, I do love that guy.
You gonna take that job?
Hang on. Not every check that comes through that man's letterbox has WWE on the top.
Oh, you know it.
No.
Listen, I'd be trying to stop the postman in Bray when I see him going into Charmwood. I'd be like, here, is there any letters for number such and such there? Because I've been asked to check the mail.
Just there, Ian, when you said you're taking back the fuck Tama thing. The only reason you're taking that back is you remembered who his dad was.
Yeah, no, I love his dad. Yeah, no, I'm very, very fearful of him too.
I'm
fearful of that afro.
No. In fairness, I'm a big advocate for Tama. Anyway, I think Tama is definitely a guy that needs to be in the big leagues very, very soon. I know, like New Japan is still big leagues, but I would love to see him over in American wrestling soon because I think that guy has all the talent in the world to go to the top. He's a great body, great look. He can talk. I dare say he can throw a slap because as much as Enzo was talking about fighting him, it certainly wasn't going over for it. You know what I mean?
Here's my address, son. I'm home on Thursdays from 10:30 to 12:30. Why don't you come actually have a fight with me, Enzo?
And guess what? Haku opens the
door
door for me too. So bring your big fella with you too. Bring Cass and my dad will be there.
I'm pretty.
If there was ever a lad who embraced the pandemic.
Oh, good Lord, you're 100% correct there. Yeah. No, in fairness to Enzo, like God bless him, he does hustle as well. In fairness, he seems like an alright guy. Do you know what I mean? He's come out and said, like in certain shoots as well, that he's trying to just, do a bit. And look, it is what it is. They're all hustling during the pandemic, but just don't do it with the Simones. Is all I'd say. Like, there's better
risky business.
There's better beefs to pick. Is all I'm saying.
There's another also ran. Another also ran with a better attitude. Yeah, listen, he already knows where I am. I don't see him at my front door. I don't see anybody at my front door. I lost the fob. And mostly I stay in.
You want to bring Cabra Koi mixed with Fingla Koi? Are you kidding me?
Cabra Koi.
Mixed with Bray Fu? Forget about it.
The background story, that was brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah, we're not going to talk about family, and Enzo straight in with the family.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know what I mean? But
You
I
know,
suppose
for a man without a company, he certainly does keep his name on the bounce in the mix.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
when self-promotion is the name of the game, and we spoke about this about other men,
Absolutely.
he has a mouth on him, and he's a highly entertaining human. Even if the entertainment value is only seeing the head boxed off him, he's earned that right. He's
Dude,
earned the hard way.
even some of the silly rap songs he comes out with in the videos, some of it's highly entertaining. So all I would say is Enzo, keep hustling, brother. You know what I mean? 'Cause, like, fair play. You know what I mean? In a world
We
where
are entertained.
exactly.
Jay, in fairness, Jay, many a man has made a career out of has made a career out of people wanting to see him get the head poked off him. Ric Flair is one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Genuinely is.
Yeah.
People
Conor
turn up in the
McGregor
show
is a
to
real
see him
life
get
one
murdered.
now. Do you know what I mean? Conor McGregor's a real life one now. And
Yeah, but one can go and the other can't.
Hey,
One has a job and the other doesn't.
of course, Connor's not going to be able to keep up to Rick's levels. Listen, Connor can't go 60 minutes all night, every night. Do you know what I mean? Space Mountain is only reserved for one person, man.
The difference is Connor went in and won 50 G's overnight in Sweden, you know, went home and signed off the dole and signed into a fucking $1 million watch. Enzo, I recommend if you're looking for 188 solid a week, move to Ireland and get citizenship. You'll always have a paycheck.
I thought you were comparing Connor to Rick. My apologies. I thought you were talking about Rick and Connor. No, that's a different story.
Oh God, no! Listen, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Conor McGregor is a massive fan of the Wook and loves Ric Flair.
Man, that's a fact. He calls it the billionaire stroll. You remember the video? He was walking down the hall and he was singing with his mom, and he was there. No chance. That's what.
No chance. Yeah.
You know? Of course, this is work. But look, we're gonna get off Royal Rumble 2004 and the winner of that one.
The Rumbles. Remember them?
So Batista won it for the first time the following year. So you can see there's a bit of a trend here. They're getting the new era in. He's obviously got Batista previous year, Benoit, and then obviously before that, that's not the new era, of course, but the year before, Brock won. Rey Mysterio off the back of Eddie Guerrero's death, as Niall said. I think that was a bit of a one that they kind of went, right, we can market this shit. Niall was very appreciative of Rey Mysterio during that time because, again, that probably paid for a lot of school books and uniforms and pretty much keeping the mortgage bills paid, I'd imagine.
And we all love Rey.
Following year, the first time, lads, 2007, The Undertaker finally wins it, which is an interesting one. And we know where his career went. The following year
Where
after
it came from as well.
Yeah. 2008, Madison Square Garden. Boop, 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 boop. It's the first of the Big Daddy himself, John Cena. The following year, and we all know where John's career went. The following year,
never heard of him.
2009, Randy Orton. Once again, they're all coming from the same cloth here. This is a phenomenal youth squad that you could say. And again, you know, people that underestimate Jim Cornette's impact in wrestling, even though he was working with these boys in OVW and he knew that these boys were ready. And in fairness, you got to give him and Danny Davis and people like that a lot of credit. So these were all that draft, which was just incredible. Not the wrestler, by the way. Edge for the first time in 2010. This is now, Niall, this is when your wife used to get hot for someone else other than you.
Palpitations and flutters. Really?
Yeah.
This is when the pressure came on for me to grow out my hair.
Yeah. Definitely. And you even had the little blonde tip, the blonde highlights in there as well. I remember that.
The whole thing. I was a cross between Triple H and an Edgehead.
You were too.
Yeah.
Triple Y.
Yeah.
Why, baby? Why?
So that was really cool because, I mean, Edge during that time really had a different attitude. It was the whole sex, sleaze, violence, just being the sleazy bastard. People legit hated him because of it too, because with the whole Matt Hardy situation and Lita.
The Ray and Or era, was that?
Yeah.
Oh, behind
much.
that, yeah. behind
Yeah,
it, yeah.
that was it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
I hate him for
it's
that.
it's easy being sleazy was the T-shirt. You remember that one? Easy. I mean, like when a man brings a T-shirt out like that, you just go fucking right. You take one.
The cruel, lewd, and tattooed.
Lewd, crude, and tattooed. They basically went for the Motley Crew. Fucking yeah, slogan. I love that. I bought all those shirts from you, Noel, that year as well, and I wasn't even an Edge fan. I was just like, Kev Rocks, our mutual
Quality shirt.
Why are you buying all the Edge T-shirts? You don't even like Edge that much. I was like, those T-shirts are fucking awesome.
I'm trying to help him.
Yeah, you know. But Edge obviously went on and had a great solo career then after that. The following year, a man that I don't care for one bit, Alberto Del Rio. Hopefully he's locked up in some jail somewhere now. Fingers crossed. I think that's or it should be soon anyway.
No. That's all gone, isn't it?
It's all gone, is he? Yeah.
That's all
Cartel
gone.
man himself. Yeah.
Apparently, he was vindicated. Actually.
Was he?
Really?
Yeah. I read that there the other day. Yeah.
Didn't hear Anne on this.
Well, he is a piece of shit, and most people not know him say he's a piece of shit as well. So I'm part of the Knight family crew. So I'm always going to side with them.
The booking committee in WWE weren't convinced anyway. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
But like,
I think they didn't.
Sorry, Joe. Go
Joe.
ahead.
No, you work away, man.
All right. No, I was
never...
just going to say, I never understood the whole thing around him. Just
Mexican market.
He was like he's not a bad wrestler or anything by any means. Like
no, he could work. He could work.
But I just never understood how he got that rocket strapped to him.
Well, do you know what it was, Joe? If you remember back to that time, he worked a real old school style heel type of character, and he was in there at a time where they'd virtually no heels.
A regional trunk heel.
They virtually no proper heels in there at the time, so it was just a timing thing, really. He was like, if you even go back and look at his ring work at the time, the way he used to do the old school, rake the eyes and all that kind of stuff, he was that proper old school type.
I'd agree with that.
Shades of JBL.
But also, Noel, we also forget one very important thing as well. That was at a time when WWE were breaking into the Spanish market as well. They really went into the Spanish-speaking market, especially Mexico too. So it was those two components combined because he was a hero in Mexico and everywhere else. And
he also had a mouth you could trust on the stick. He was smarmy again, and I'm only sometimes I put things together, and again that old school regional trunk heel again when we seen fucking JBL rise and just take the Stan Hansen gimmick. It wasn't like it was that new. It was about 8 pieces.
He was awesome, wasn't he? He was JBL was awesome.
If you remember,
was he though? He was needed because everybody else was all. Whenever the crowd gets too behind the guys they're not supposed to be cheering, a la the fucking Austins of this world, and they get too smart and they fucking boo the Cenas of this world when they should be cheering them. Sometimes you have to send in a trope heel, like a bad guy who you're supposed to hate, and you can't find a reason to like him. But you need a guy who fits a certain critique. He has to be big. He has to be meaty. He has to be fucking snap clotheslines, big punches, stomp downs, nothing too technical, nothing too sweet. But the most important thing is you've got to be able to put a stick in his hand in front of any crowd and get that shite baggery going.
Absolutely.
It's a standard trope.
Yeah.
If we've got too many counter heroes, underground heroes, guys who they should be cheering, guys who they don't want to be cheering, we need to send somebody in there who does 3 things. 1, could not pass as a fucking lightweight, cruiserweight, or tweener. He needs to be a fucking big man. 2, put him in old school 80s knickers and wrestling boots and give him the old gear, the knee pads, the pants, and give him mouth. And 3, whenever we put that stick in his hand, it doesn't matter what he says. The crowd must hate him regardless. They can't get behind him. And he's one of them. He's a wrestling trope. But again,
I would agree.
This sport is anchored in history, and Del Rio was one of them. Christ, half of his gimmick is rolling down to the ring in a fucking car. Where have we seen that before out of a Hispanic superstar?
I cheat, I steal. Yep.
Only we got behind him because he had charisma.
Yeah.
But if you also remember that time going back through the roster, most of the roster had kind of, they'd all work programs with each other, so there was a lot of repeatability at the time. It was a
Sure.
real tough time in the business at the time.
Sure.
actually.
No, that's a very good point, Noel, to be fair. It was actually quite a downtime. I remember ratings at that time were going very low.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were low as well because of fucking the likes of Del Rio with
Yeah.
the belt. No,
Yeah.
Joe, I'm still not going to change my opinion on him. He's a cunt.
Yeah.
So fuck you, Del
Nobody's
Rio.
questioning the man outside of the business, but
Yeah.
in the ring, it was really easy to hate him because he didn't have any of the. We were supposed to hate Austin. We were supposed to hate Hart. We were supposed to hate Sean and Taker at times. But when a man does his job real well and has a lot of charisma and sells, you can't help but fucking side with him. There wasn't that issue with the likes of JBL or fucking Del Rio. It's only in hindsight when we look back. But sometimes you have to send in a man. Look, if we keep sending people out and they keep on yes, or fucking CM Punk, we need a fucking villain in the piece. They can't all be heroes, just counter heroes in different hero markets. We need a fucking asshole. Send in an asshole. He needs to do 3 things: not hurt anybody, be able to competently talk, and be a fucking villain. And we as fans sometimes don't let that to happen.
Speaking of which, the next year is followed up by Niall's favourite and the first ever Irishman to win a Rumble in Sheamus. Speaking of, we won't go there. So Sheamus wins it. And I have to say, we might not.
I like the guy. The guy.
Yeah, if you knew him, you wouldn't. But anyway, we move along.
I don't need to know him. He doesn't share a bed with me. You need to let go of the past, baby.
Well, then stop giving Hulk Hogan shit then.
Whoa. 10
you don't
years
share a bed with Hulk Hogan.
Wrestling. 10 years of You know why? He never earned a place in it.
Hey,
show me skills.
Don't you
show me a moveset. Show me charisma.
Sentence. Sheamus and Hulk Hogan in the same sentence is.
No, you're right. I would much rather suffer 10 years in the 80s of Sheamus than choke Rogan.
Oh, good Lord! Anyway,
moving
right along.
That's not true. You know that's not.
We're now minus 30 views on this segment.
All I'm saying is I like the guy's work. I enjoy his career and fair fucking play to him. I'm sorry.
I will say something. I will say something, and Niall will agree with me. And me and Niall had personal shit there that went way back. In fairness, with Sheamus, we kind of did put that to bed back in the day. I will say that I'm actually very proud of him. I'm very proud of his career and what he's achieved. And,
I'm sure that'll help him sleep tonight.
Oh, well, I'm sure it won't. But I mean, listen.
You hearing this shit, Joe? Personal beef.
Well, you can laugh, Jay, but when
I am laughing.
When you were laughing, but yeah, well, it's easy for you to hate a man that you don't know. It's easy for us to hate a man we do know. So there you go. Moving right along.
It's called work, baby.
It's called what?
Work.
Okay. Moving right along to John Cena wins it once again. John Cena once again. So 2 times for John Cena. Again, we don't really need to get into John Cena's career because we've. What did you say there, Joe?
Sorry, is that 2013? Is it?
Yeah, that was the CM Punk and The Rock. CM Punk, because CM Punk basically held the title just to drop for that length of time to drop it to The Rock, only for The Rock to go and wrestle John Cena.
Twice in a lifetime.
Yeah. And then
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, do talk about that one.
The lie. Oh, what the fans will believe when you believe they are willing to pay. Once in a lifetime, was it?
Well, how are you supposed to keep us captivated when you announce a WrestleMania main event a year in advance? Sorry, Vince, but really, give me something to cling on to. Give me some hope.
Can you understand? Like, if you are CM Punk in this period, you are pissed off, aren't you? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're literally holding. I mean, this was the hottest run that CM Punk had, and it was probably, arguably. I think me and you talked about this, Jay, a few weeks ago. It was arguably the hottest run since Austin, to be fair. I mean, they were the biggest. He was outselling John Cena in merch. And Niall, you can validate that from your own shop. Absolutely. And you're still selling CM Punk merch off the back of that run.
It'll always go.
That pipe bomb is, in my opinion, the best promo.
Punk
Or
put the
up there. Up
Punk
there
put
is
the-
one of the best.
Punk put the second kid through college.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? That's why Niall used to think Ian was a doppelganger of CM Punk, and that's the only reason he likes me. He doesn't like me as a person. It's just,
But you have
you remind me of a man that made me lots of money. And
But
now I hope the Dynamo Podcast Network does the same.
but at that time he was the best in the world.
No, he was. I mean, like that
So-
run. I mean, that pipe bomb is easily probably the best shoot worked promo in the history
But
of wrestling.
we've been here before with him in the business. Like, I mean, when Vince says reach for that brass ring, what he literally means is reach for my brass ring. Do you know what I mean? And we've had men who have left the business before after he gave them a worldwide audience, and he just sat there and went, "I have pushed you to hell and back. Now show me wrong. Now prove me wrong." And now, right now, still to this day, the man has been out of the business, what, 4-5 years? He's had
More,
a 2-year
maybe.
run,
Yeah.
2-year run in UFC.
Yeah.
He's still the hottest ticket in the world.
If he
Because of
comes
one
back
company.
tomorrow, there's a bidding war. If he comes out on YouTube on Renee Young,
He's coming back. That is without a shadow of a doubt, Ian. He's a
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
lifer. It runs in his blood, whether he likes it or not.
yeah,
And you do not return to the fucking boondocks when you've already been on top of the world wearing a crown. There is no other company in the world who can offer him the fervent fucking rapture of a fan base smashing against the coast like a tidal waves of cash money. Like him walking out.
let's put a bet on
unannounced.
it right. Let's put a bet on it right now, because the Roman Abramovich of professional wrestling is AEW, and my money is on he goes to AEW for sure for a year run.
don't-
No.
I
If
don't
you
think
are happy,
so.
let's
don't
throw
think so.
money down. Let's throw cash money down, lads, and let's take the bets right now. Let's do it.
I'll put a tenner on him returning for Vince for one reason, and it'll be another one of them fucking Jericho jobs. Right?
It won't be for Vince. It'd be for him.
I think it'll be no. Of course it'll be for him. It'll be for his fucking accountant, his bank manager, and his fucking ma, right? But he lost the smile. He goes away for 5 fucking years. He walks into a building unannounced, unaddressed, and uncatered for. Pulls on his shit. Nobody knows it except for fucking 2 men. I mean, they wrap him in a man-sized condom, opaque, push him down to gorilla position, and it is the freshest, hottest, biggest pop in the history of professional fucking wrestling. He breaks that curtain after passing just 2 men who knew about it in gorilla position, and the world takes a look at him, and overnight, over minute, over second, Vince McMahon and his Global Wrestling Federation have just won everything back again in
But
one
Jay,
fell swoop.
no, that's great. That's great fantasy booking. It's hypothetical, but you have to listen to the man talking. I don't know whether you.
I've heard him.
But did you hear
A
him
lot of
2
money
weeks
or a
ago?
great storyline.
Did you hear him
Yes.
talking on Renee Young, wasn't it? I think it was. Is that
Yes, it was
Yeah.
Renee Young. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Renee Young. Yeah. Look, I'd be with you, Jay. For me, if I was like, I'd be honest with you, I'd rather lose that tenner bet and give you that tenner, because I would be the one that would be more inclined to go, yes, go back.
When he returns,
that match,
it's
yeah.
for his ego.
Well, that's how it
For
should
his
be.
ego.
That's what it should be for. Yeah.
Is there any other company in the world who can placate his ego the way the oldest, largest wrestling federation in the world
No,
could?
no. I think the reason I'm saying that AEW, the reason I'm saying AEW is because he's talking about working with fresh fucking faces and stuff like that, and working with big bags of cash. And of course, AEW are gonna, yeah, absolutely. But with CM Punk, you wouldn't be fucking surprised, lads. Like, I've followed this man for many a year and know his fucking almost his personality inside out, because he's as nutty as fucking me. He is the type of fella that could. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean by that, Jay.
Keep a tenner in your wallet because it's already lost. Nobody can offer him what Vince can. AEW, whatever it is and how much money it is, has no history, no legacy, and no fucking platform. The way
He
even
doesn't care about that, though. He could turn up on Ring of Honor for a new match. That's the way he is. He doesn't.
No, he definitely cares about that. If you think about it,
Well, I think you're wrong, Noel.
No, because if you think about it,
Two tenors.
and
Joe, get in on
Grand.
this.
Joe, do you want to get in on this, Joe? Because if I was you, I'd back this house.
Ian, you're a huge CM Punk fan, and CM Punk's
I'm not,
modus, his modus has always been to work the fan base. That's why he does those interviews.
I know that.
He ain't going anywhere.
Exactly. And what bigger work would he be working the fan base? Man, he went on to Fox and WWE and he fell out with them again because he wouldn't sign a contract with WWE. He signed a contract with Fox and he left and said, fuck yous. And he basically called him out on it. Triple H fucking despises the man. Of course I know. Forget about.
Oh, come on.
No, let me finish.
Warrior.
No, let me finish. That's what I was going to say. Forget about that. I'm not saying that that you can't work with someone just because you despise them. I know that. This is Vince McMahon and Triple H we're talking about. If business is if it's the right business, of course they're going to bring him back. I'm not saying that. But I don't know. I would say watch this space. I mean, I would happily give you his 2 tenors if that's the case. I really would.
Joe's in on this.
Joe's not in on it.
No. I was up to thinking as soon as we mentioned it, I thought he'd turn up in a much smaller company.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I think he'd turn up on the likes of a Ring of Honor, Major League, or even Impact, just to give them a rub. He might only turn up the once, just to cause a bit of a stir. And
I think so, Joe. Exactly, and that's the measure of the man.
Why would you ruin a multi-million-dollar pop?
He doesn't give a shit about that. He doesn't give a shit about that. He said it.
No, Jay, if he turned up on Ring of Honor or something like that, right? He'll get it right. He'll get a small pop there. He can still go to one of the big companies and he'll get a monster pop.
Lads,
you only get to break the wrestling. You only get to return once.
Noel, by virtue, you and Jay, by virtue, are actually saying that CM Punk is all about the glory and all about this. The man has stuck by his morals this long and said no. Fuck it. Well, he has.
How long did Bruno Sammartino stick by his morals? How long did the Ultimate Warrior stick by his morals?
So you're saying that
how long did all these guys stick by their morals?
Not every human being is the same, man. He doesn't need money. That's the thing about Punk.
I'm not saying everyone is the same, and I'm not saying everyone is money financially driven. What I am saying is, if you want to complete the circle of your legacy, you have to go back to the biggest stance to complete.
Everybody comes home.
If he goes to Ring of Honor, or he goes to AEW, or he pops up on a small show or New Japan or something like that will be great, and it will get a pop, and it will lift off, and it will set the wrestling world alight. But that would be very short-lived compared to a return of WWE,
and it'll cost him about 10 million.
Monumental.
He doesn't want to go back and do the fucking slog with WWE. I'm saying the slog.
He won't be doing the slog. When you return, you don't do the slog. You return Apex. You return to get your fucking belt back in your first match.
I think you are talking about a different fucking cat altogether here. It's not your Bret Harts. It's not your Ultimate Warriors. It's not your fucking Brunos. This lad fell out of love with wrestling because of one company. He hated that company. There was a dirty taste in the mouth. They will have to. Those conversations have already happened, lads. With that Fox deal, that was. Let me finish that deal, right? And I think, and I'm not going to take the credit for this, by surmising this, because I've heard Jim Cornette talk about it as well. So I'm not going to make it out like it's me coming up with this. But Jim Cornette said it as well because he has a personal relationship with him as well. He said, "Look, this guy fucking hates this company. They would have to beg and kiss his fucking feet to come back," is what he wants. He's the kind of guy that, I mean, don't forget, he fell out with his own brother and his own family just because, and still hasn't talked to them since the age of 15. This is a lad who was the most stubborn fucker on the planet. Like, he's an odd cat. Like, do you know what I mean?
And they say kayfabe is dead.
What, Joe? What did you say?
Fell out with his best mate.
Of course. But not everything is kayfabe, though, Jay. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like, not everything is kayfabe either.
Well, he wouldn't be the first guy that WWE kissed their feet to bring them back. And the other thing I'd add to this, right?
I think that's what it would take, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's impossible, by the way. I'm just saying I think that's what it would take. That's all.
But do you think?
And Jay is right, by the way, by saying the word. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but do you think he hated WWE more than Brett when he stood in that ring in Montreal?
No,
And Brett came back.
he didn't have 2 strokes and fucking basically, lose brothers and lose family members and stuff. It's a different era of life. Do you know what I mean? I think the Brett
You're
situation
right. No,
again, is a
look.
little bit
From what
different.
you're saying, sorry, forgive me for cutting across you, Ian.
No, you're
Everything
okay.
you're saying is correct. Everything you're saying is correct. But from a business and logistical perspective, you can't make a comeback without going away.
I
You won't be
agree.
the first man who's lost a smile.
I agree with you. Yeah, but he's not. He's certainly not Shawn Michaels. This man has integrity. He's not
No,
Shawn
hey,
Michaels.
listen, I'm not comparing him person to person. They're
Yeah.
not the same fucking timestamp.
Yeah.
But
I
you only
agree with
get to make a return once, and your legacy is everything.
But business.
And if you've got unfinished business financially,
But he doesn't
physically,
have unfinished business in WWE. He said it. I
No.
don't. Well, look what he said on. You listened to that podcast with Renee.
I did,
He
yeah.
said, I don't want to work. He even said, Renee, I don't even want to work your husband. I've already done it. I don't want to work people like that. He goes, I want to see people like MJF. Guys like that.
You didn't hear him being on as opposed to being honest.
Oh, I heard him being honest because CM Punk is just that. That's exactly what he is. He
He's
talks.
a professional wrestler.
Oh, no. You obviously didn't listen to the Cole Cabana podcast then. If that's
Of
what you
course, I
think.
listened to the Coca-Mana podcast.
Go back and listen to that again if you think it's
Lads,
Punk being
you're
honest.
talking. You're talking to a lad like he's acted like I know nothing about professional wrestling when I've been involved in
Well,
it.
you know
since I
what?
was 18
You know
and
what?
mad things.
There's a 10-euro
about
note we'll be
kayfabe to
framing,
me.
and there's a 10-euro note we'll be framing, and it'll sit there and pride a place above
Joe
the rest.
was laughing there because Joe was going right.
You're allowed to
You've
believe.
got the
Always
shopkeeper and the
believe.
DJ
But you know
telling
what?
the wrestler
Kayfabe is
how
still a
wrestling
real
works.
fucking thing.
Joe,
Again,
Joe,
we're
come on.
here again.
Joe, get me back here. Get me back here, will you?
I also, just when Niall said about Bret Hart, I don't think that's a fair comparison because
Yeah.
there was only one show in town when Bret Hart went back to make a few quid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Joe, let's be clear
People
about
around
something.
now.
Joe, let's be clear about something. Don't get clouded by your judgment. There's still only one show in town. It just hasn't ramped it up to the level that people wanted to be at.
Joe, don't
Yes.
worry.
Show in town.
Yes.
I'll hook Niall up when AEW is the big show in town. Don't worry, be all right.
Listen,
I know that's not going to happen.
Listen, this is our Triple H Arn Anderson moment again, is it?
Yeah. No. Fair. We won't go there. No, look. To be fair, I'd be, I'd be remiss. But I think me and Joe are singing from a different hymn sheet. He is there when it comes to because it is a different cat. Like this lad is a different kettle of fish. Do you know what I mean? He's a happy man. He's fucking in his 40s. He's married. I mean, he's doing movies now. He's he's writing comics. He's doing exactly what he wants. He gets to choose what he wants to do. And I think if it's a 1 or 2 shot deal, if AEW offer him the right scruples and B, the right kind of fucking, storyline or component. Because I mean, he's always talking about how much he wants to work Kenny Omega, for example, and Cody. You know what I mean? I don't see anyone in WWE right now that would take the interest of CM Punk. Forget about if they can offer him 1 million more than AEW can. That's not what it's going to boil down to. And you know what? When it happens this year or next year, I will happily take you and Jay's money. And, it'll be grand. Be grand. By the way, guess who wins the next fucking Royal Rumble? Batista again. Then finally, Roman Reigns wins it in 2015, which is obviously someone said it's 1 year too late. I think it was you, Noel, wasn't it?
Yeah, he should have won the 2014.
1 year too late.
Was that
And
when
of
they
course,
brought-
guess who wins it the next year? The boss. Triple H gets himself in the mix. And that's, of course, I believe, was that... Who did he wrestle that year after that? Because he won the Rumble. Who did he wrestle for the main event? 2016, Noel.
Just a second.
Batista, no?
No, I don't think so, was it? No, it wasn't. No, Batista was was it Batista? No, it wasn't Batista.
WrestleMania 2016. This is how relevant Triple H's later career was to me.
But just to go back to 2015 while you lads are trying to figure that out, isn't that when they brought The Rock out to try and get the crowd to stop booing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they booed even more.
Yeah. So completely backfired.
Let them eat rock.
Royal Rumble goes to Hollywood.
This was
Like he
man,
didn't feel
I
the people
forget
standing that
this.
night.
I forget this match. Roman Reigns against Triple H in the AT&T Stadium. Man, a 27-minute match. I'd say it was at Donnybrook. I can't remember it, to be honest with you. So Triple H done that, and he obviously, in fairness to Triple H, with that makes sense actually to me now, because Triple H obviously wins the Rumble, and he's trying to get the kid over. Do you know what I mean, at WrestleMania? Because they were really doing everything and anything they could do, because they knew Triple H and Stephanie, because he came out with Stephanie at that Rumble as well. Do you remember? And I think they were doing like what's best for business kind of whole ordeal. And to be fair, Triple H, I actually commend them on that. They literally, I think that's what they said. Like, maybe you need to go in, H, and fucking, do this.
Legitimize people.
Legitimize them. And yet they still didn't fucking fully get behind him as well. I remember that. So he won it. Orton won it the next year again, which I was very happy with. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of old Randall. Nakamura, of course, then 2018 Nakamura, and as you said earlier as well, lads, Asuka. Good Lord, what the fuck happened with Nakamura? It was.
I don't think what's going to
turned
happen
him
has
into the-
happened yet.
They even changed his entrance music to that ridiculous one that they have now, when the original one was just absolutely perfect.
I think they've gone
They
back
just
to the
turned him into-
original.
Have they gone back to the original now?
I think so.
Have they?
Pretty
Yeah.
close version of it anyway.
Okay.
They just turned him into a dick kicker. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, every time he was anywhere near AJ Styles, he just kicked him in the dick. It was just
This
Remember
was
that?
um, this was the
Dick
time.
kicker.
This was the time when they didn't they open the Japanese office at that time?
Yes.
And they were talking about moving into that market big time, and they were talking with New Japan about a relationship and all that kind of stuff. So this was
Then Japan said no, and they were like, "Fuck you bastards! You're
Yeah.
going back to."
I still don't think we've seen the best of Nakamura.
I hope you're right. I hope you're
He
right.
he was like, penciled in, figured in, put there, did the tag team shit. He hasn't eaten his quantifiable 6 to 7 years of let's make him hot, then put him onto the trough, let him eat shit, put him away for a while, and then let him make a surprise pop back in again. There seems to be a rhythm and a formula with certain men who.
Kind of sad as well, isn't it? Like,
It isn't. It isn't. You become a company man through your years put in, and then when they realise this fella's a lifer, then they'll get behind you. Whereas if you jump,
but these boys have been lifers before it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's.
the world doesn't exist outside WWE and fucking.
Yeah, I know. You're right. You're correct. I'm not disagreeing with you, Jay. I'm actually just kind of more saying it in my head. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Will Shinsuke be able to keep doing it if they wait too long?
Well, he's not exactly a spring chicken. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. That's what I mean. Like, are they gonna hang around?
Yeah, but that company doesn't want. That's fair, Joe. That's fair. That's fair.
I think his time has come and gone. I think some of his best stuff was down in NXT.
Well, it wasn't his fault now, Noel. It wasn't his fault. It was just the way he was booked. In fairness.
No, absolutely. But I just think I think to try and revisit that and rekindle that again. I mean, it's like when we talk about Ziggler being that IC guy.
I agree.
I just don't see them.
I'm with you, Noel. Actually, 100%. I had this conversation with someone the other week, actually, and they were like, "Do you think they could get back?" Nakamura came in shit hot. It's the same. What they've done the same with Kevin Owens. What they've done to Kevin Owens, I mean, I find baffling. Just baffling.
Yeah, but look, this is the company's history with men who come in shit hot from other federations.
Well, some of them, except Goldberg, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, I don't give a fuck about Goldberg. He's just a warrior revisited. God love him.
He must have some pictures of Vince McMahon in some very precarious positions. I'd say
he's a trophy. He's the hood ornament. Basically, back in the 80s, when you used to see somebody with a Mercedes and you your dad had a ladder, you'd kick the Merc sign off it and just keep it as a souvenir in your pocket.
Yeah.
That's what Goldberg is. He's the Merc sign in fucking Vince McMahon's pocket. He's
Yeah.
an old WCW throwback who will bring back every now and again because he knows, oh, look, where's my trophy from when that time that I bet that company that was red
And the
hot right now?
only one that he's never changed too much where Goldberg has actually went, no, fuck off, because Goldberg had a bit of that warrior attitude where he goes, well, I'm not coming back for fucking just for the sake of it.
He
And in
knew his
fairness,
worth. He knew his value.
exactly, and I think that's where Vince sees people like Warrior and Goldberg are very, very similar. And in fairness, Goldberg's a nice guy, other than fucking ending lads' careers.
But I think,
Listen, get your money.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think getting back to Shinsuke as well, I think where they dropped the ball was they made a bigger deal of him joining NXT than they did of him coming up to SmackDown.
Very much so. Very much so.
His debut on SmackDown was so tame and his booking was so poor. So like it was nearly set up to fail.
Well, it was the same. Like they don't. I mean, like when they brought Balor up from NXT, right? They made a big deal. They had the Demon King thing and all this, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And they had Seth Rollins like shitting himself. You know what I mean? Like Demon King, like when he came out with that whole gimmick. And I'll get to you, Jay. There, don't worry, because I know you have something to say on that. And in fairness, I just want to finish the point. It'll be very brief. I think with Balor, that whole entrance sold itself, and the whole get up, the whole Spider-Man gimmick. You know what I mean? The Peter Parker type scenario where, like, yeah, he's Finn Balor here, but when he puts that fucking costume on, it's a different level of character. He hones into his Gale. You know what I mean? And he's
Balor of the Evil Eye. Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
And
No, it's true, right?
That's it. Yeah.
There's times when they destroy it, they completely fucking ruin it, and then there's other times where they get it just right, and then there's these other times which are hot on, hot off. When you come in from outside the company in the business, they run you through the fucking mill. We know this. We know how you used to work. We knew who you are. We know how competent you are, and we know how hot your ticket sold when you weren't Air Brand. But you are going to go to the trough. You're going to eat humble fucking pie. We're going to address every aspect of your career that we dislike. And we are going to prove you till you get to a point of, say,
wasn't that one of
5 to 7 years of legitimacy in Air Company?
Before you said, just to validate that point that you made there, didn't you say that you heard Bruce Pritchard or something say that he used to say...
Oh, God, no, I don't listen to him.
Okay, maybe it was someone, but someone said that he used to say to his kind of interns and stuff, and he goes, you're going to eat a lot of shit and you're just going to have to learn to like the taste of it.
Well, no, that's
Vince's words, yeah.
No, it's mentality. It's he is being born so much by men who were hot at the time, got strapped and legged it. From a psychological perspective, let's look at all of them, right? Austin did a fucking legger before who was he supposed to fight? Brocky? Dropped the bottle and fucking ran. Sean lost his fucking smile. Hogan wouldn't do the job for fucking Brett. Warrior held him up at gunpoint, literally, for fucking cash. The man is the 20 years of, you need to prove to me your fucking pedigree and your blood runs WW before I run with you. Even Daniel Bryan, perfect example. All that guy did was grab a necktie and choke somebody out. Vince got fucking rid of him. And the guy had to run through the ringer and eat at the trough of shit again and prove his worth before he was allowed have his fucking yes movement. It's been a continual progression of his remodeling and remolding. And when he has a point where you've got 6-7 years and you sign a third contract, then he's looking at you going, now I don't believe you're going to run. Now we'll run with you. And it doesn't matter how hot you are in the Indies. Nothing outside of his company matters to him except for his company. And I don't think the writing's on the wall for Shinsuke. I don't think they've lost love for him. I think they've been watching him carefully. I think they've seen on his fucking CV in the company, he hasn't hurt anybody. He hasn't not turned up for an event. I think they're going to start to trickle in the excitement and dance that was in him before he was in the company again over the next 2 years. Like, I mean, I still, whenever I watch I don't watch weeklies, but whenever I watch an event, I love to come in as just a passenger, just as a casual, just to watch between the bell action, because I don't give a fuck about the storylines. I couldn't give a fuck. My ma watches EastEnders every night. I don't give a fuck about the silly shit. Between the bells, all that matters to me. And I still get excited when Nakamura walks down to the ring, because he still, even when he was lampooned as a comedy character, even when he was a fucking tag team for 2 years, even though he has ran and jumped through every hoop that company has to put in front of him, he has competed, and succeeded in every obstacle they have placed in front of him. And there's going to be a time in the last final furlong when the company looks at him and realizes he's a keeper, he's real, and he's a lifer. Let him run. And that's coming real soon with him. We still get excited watching his intro. There's something about him. I don't know what it is. He still excites. And when a man comes along who exudes that charisma, a charisma that transcends the language barrier, that transcends the fucking racial barrier, that transcends all other barriers, and you know he can still fucking go, even though he's wearing shitbox Michael Jackson jackets from 1986. It's exciting.
Yeah. I totally disagree on him coming back. I think WWE have dropped the ball and they've moved on, and that he's a mid-carder, and that's it. I'm with Niall on this one. I think he's done with them.
Yeah.
And the only comeback he'll have is if he goes to another company. I think he's
same with Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? It's the same with him. You can never take that comedy character away from what they've done with Kevin Owens, and that's the way they are. Like, I suppose to try and finish this, because let's tell a nice little story for all of our audiences there. You might see Niall looking sad there. We have to finish up soon. Niall's looking nice and sad. Niall, tell them the little story about the little dog. People love a dog story, in fairness, because I just got that recently, and I'm like, hey, you go and tend to that poor little dog.
The dog the other day got the chop.
Yeah.
So I'm tending to him at the moment, because he kind of hangs out with me most of the time when I'm on lockdown. So we're kind of like buddies, that kind of way. So he's
is he beside you there?
No, he's not with me here at the moment, but he's due to arrive any moment, because he comes up here. This is where he hangs out. Like, and normally when I'm working during the day on podcasts and stuff like that, he's on the desk here beside me in front of the keyboard, just hanging out, you know, that kind of way. And he was sort of he wasn't too good the first 2 days after. He was sort of out of sorts, but since he's come back into the Dynamo Podcast Network second headquarters, he's more back to himself now, really, you know.
I love it.
He's home.
He's gonna have to make an appearance on one of these shows soon, to be fair, because everyone knows that the one way you get me is with dogs. I like dogs, I do. So yeah, so we'll fly through this so Niall can tend to the dog. We have obviously after that we had Becky Lynch, obviously, because we had the double Royal Rumbles. We had Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. That's a strange one. There we go.
Kalinga Hamwa.
The two of them won it on 2019, and that was pretty cool, because obviously, you know, seeing where their relationship has gone is, I suppose, you know, pretty cool to see that they're you know, they both won it. I don't know what to say with that one.
The
power couple, yeah. And then of course last year we had Charlotte Flair and Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre obviously is the one that's had a hell of a year, and he's going to be going into Mania as the champion. Let's maybe spend the last, I suppose, 5 minutes talking about this then, lads. Niall, realistically, who do you see as viable contenders for both championships, I suppose, at Mania this year? I suppose both the females and the males championships.
God, it's a hard one to call, isn't it, really? I mean, you're sort of looking at the moment, and it's like...
Isn't Edge due back any day now?
Yeah, Edge. But it's definitely sort of gearing itself towards maybe a comeback, isn't it, or a surprise or something.
I think so, yeah.
Because the shows at the moment, they're kind of a bit flat.
The Rock's been talking with them again.
Business here needs a pop. Yeah,
The Rock has been talking with them a lot at the moment, and I know that was, if there was going to be fans, I know that The Rock and Roman Reigns was going to be a big deal because obviously him calling himself the head of the table. I mean, that was just tailor-made, that storyline. I mean, that, in fairness, that was Bruce Pritchard storyline when it's good, in the sense that when Bruce goes back to the 90s and builds that long-term 6-month storyline with the payoff eventually, that's tailor-made for The Rock to come back, I think, to kind of, I suppose, humble his brethren. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Edge, I suppose, is another one as well that can be in the mix. Yeah.
Just on the Edge thing, do you think they'd trust him with a big event like that when he's quite prone to hurting himself now?
Well, that was a freak injury, though, Joe. Like, I mean, that was the same thing with Finn Balor. I mean, Finn Balor didn't get injured because he was injury prone. He got injured because some fucking lad fucked him into a Horden neck first.
I know what you mean.
And anyone, I mean, for anybody that says, "Oh no, well no, that's Balor's fault. He put his arm up." Yeah, he put his arm up around the thing because anyone that's taken a fucking bump in their life knows that if you don't put your arm around something like that, you're going to break your neck.
I think where Joe's coming from, he's alluding to the mileage on the body, basically, more so.
Not just that, Niall, but like you look at Balor, they dropped him pretty quick after he got hurt that time as well. They moved on from him very quick, and I don't know if they
realized the injury was going to keep him out for a while. They realized the injury was going to keep him out for a while, so they had to react, and they weren't expecting it. I'd say they had huge plans for him as Universal.
Are NXT people be allowed in the Rumble?
Yeah.
Okay, my money's on Balor and Ripley.
I would love that.
Ripley for the females and Balor for the men's.
Oh, do you know what, Jay?
He's rested and well.
If that was true, I'd actually give you that tenner that I would win anyway on the
That's already coming.
Yeah.
Do you want to bet another tenner on it? I'm not betting another tenner on Balor. I just threw that name out there because I haven't got a fucking clue who's in this year's Rumble.
I told you I'm bringing you red breast anyway, so it doesn't matter. I told you when this is all over, I'm bringing you red breast, so it's all good, man.
Fact.
That's a fact.
Have WWE cooled on Keith Lee yet? Have they?
Yeah, kind of. I think he's.
Oh, they have, all right. Because I was going to pick him, but because I don't really watch WWE anymore.
Yeah, they've kind of
keep
killed
tabs on it.
They've kind of killed.
I certainly don't watch it week to week.
Yeah, Keith Lee is kind of being sent back to developmental, as they tried to say. In other words,
right. So they've cooled on him completely, like all of it. So I don't know.
They need a demon back.
Randy Orton is a legitimate shout. I mean, purely because Randy Orton can go to the big dance and have a great match with any of them.
Well, he's a golden ticket anyway, being Randy. Yeah, he can just wake up one day and say, "I'm in the championship match." Why? Because I'm fucking Randy Orton, bitch.
Yeah, he is a golden ticket. I mean, he can go in there with Drew and win that belt back and hold that for another year, because as we all mentioned on previous episodes, they definitely want him to
hit that cap.
Yeah.
And they've got Big E. I suppose a wild card sort of shout out there might be Big E, because he's just got the IC strap, hasn't he?
I'd love that.
And
me too.
He could be a good one to throw into the mix there, because I mean they did it not last year, but the year before they did it with Kofi. So it's
how many belts is Randy on right now? Is it 14 or 15?
He's equal. We did this, didn't we? Do this test before? I think he's equal. The next one is going to break. I think he's running head to head, and the next one will beat John. And I think we spoke about this before. We spoke about this on the Finn show. Randy's running neck and neck with somebody for belt runs, and a Mania one will cap a new belt number champ.
No, so he's 14 at the moment, so he's not neck and neck, so he's 2 behind. So
he's 2 behind.
Yeah, so if he wins 3 more, which, let's be real, with Randy's career the way it's going, you could see easily 4.
Is it that much?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that much. I thought they were neck.
Is it John that's neck and neck with him?
Yeah,
John
it's
is
John.
Neck and neck with Flair.
John who's neck and neck with him. No, not Flair. But he's going to be Flair regardless. But the neck and neck with John, working into a John versus Randy.
No, John Cena is neck and neck with Flair.
Yeah.
He's 16. Both of them are 16.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm seriously misguided.
Randy is 14. So he's.
This is why I have an accountant. Yeah, one more, and then a neck and neck match. They have to do something like that. And Randy being so friendly with John, that's going to be a Mania match with Randy going over.
Oh,
the other thing, if The Rock is sniffing around, don't be surprised if our boy John comes back as a surprise entrance.
He already did that little vignette. A big shout out to that.
Yes.
You remember that Mania thing where they all went Channel 6 News team,
Yeah.
and John was the.
So that would be
That's the year after that.
I'm going to make my prediction now, and I'm going to try and excite the fans a little bit.
Now,
I think for Roman Reigns, I think The Rock comes back. And he
Fair.
wrestles. I think he wrestles Roman Reigns for that particular title at Mania. And I think Randy
and John and Randy.
Rumble. And there we go.
John and Randy to go over John as the numbers because he's a legitimate. You sold out The Rock. You crossed over to Hollywood. You ain't about this business forever.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The
Out of nowhere.
the alternative to that would be if you're going to break the record of the Nature Boy.
That's going to be a big one.
Would you not potentially go through the next best thing, which is Triple H? Would that not
How many does he have?
That not be the no, but would that
So,
not be the
so not only a few weeks ago did you compare Triple H to Arn Anderson, now you're comparing him to Ric Flair.
stop messaging me.
Oh, you're winding me up now. Something terrible. You go and tend to that dog.
No.
We've been winding you up all night, pal. It's been brilliant.
I've been the host and I've been well aware of it, and it's brilliant as well.
No, but what I'm saying is, if John Cena comes back, if John Cena comes back to take 17, maybe we could potentially get John Cena versus Triple H.
Well, why would you want that? Because I mean, John Cena is an
Because it
actual
puts
star.
John back up on a number.
No, John's
Give
an
H the
actual
belt and let
star.
John
Like,
win
that's the
another one.
thing.
Well, we can't have him beating Ric Flair.
You only said 2.5 hours ago that H was your favorite letter in the alphabet, and you went off on one.
Who's giving out about Triple
H?
H now? Who's saying that Triple H isn't legit? Fucking wankers. Listen, if Triple H, you know what? Here's my prediction. Triple H fucking comes out number 30. Rex.
Here's my prediction: a tenner on that wall from in Kelly's wallet with CM Punk's name on it.
That could be a few tenors on that.
Look in my eyes and you will see.
Oh, imagine that.
Of green money.
Do you know what, Jay? If that happened, I would come down, COVID restrictions or not, and I'd hand you €100 and say, "Here's the red breast now. Let's get drunk."
You keep threatening me with money, whiskey, and sex. Am I going to have to get you banned off another fucking phone number?
So Triple H comes back and main events WrestleMania. There we go. And I hope he wins.
Well played, sir. Well played.
I hope he wins.
Hasn't he main evented every WrestleMania he's ever
Doesn't matter. He can main event one more. He still looks good. His beard looks good at the moment with a little bit of grey coming. I'm always interested to see what he comes up with those entrances as well.
It's time to play the bus pass.
You know what? I'm telling you, Triple H for the win. I'm telling you.
For
both belts.
Actually, you know what? DX reunion for WrestleMania 27. I'm getting old. I'm not that sexy.
My hair is gone.
And I'm going bald. I'm just an old man.
Well, H still has his hairline. Shawn Michaels just has no hope.
Wouldn't you with that much human growth hormone running around it?
Well, no, H is but the hormone usually takes it out of you. But I don't know what happened to Shawn.
Really?
Donald Trump.
Well, no, they were old school steroids.
Yeah, that's true.
Donald Trump's available again as well now, isn't he?
Oh,
true.
Shit. There we go, man. Bernie Sanders and Trump at Mania.
No, I want the hair versus Flair match. I want to see him woo. Check out when he takes it off. Woo woo.
No, legit.
17 times.
My two legit predictions for the winner. For the men's match, I think I like Jay's one. I mean, I would love Jay's one to come true because obviously I have an invested interest in the Balor fella, but I would love Rhea Ripley and
that company needs the demon back simply because they took it off him and gave it the eater of 1,000 gimmicks, and he fucked it up. He fucked her up royally.
Wasn't he also outselling Niall at one point for a whole year? He was outselling Reigns and everyone. that
He was a
demon
hot
character.
commodity.
Even
If they'd have
with
ran with
Cena,
him.
he was outselling Cena and everything. Like from a little lad in fucking Charmwood and Bray sitting there going, I'm outselling John Cena, lads. What the fuck?
He'd be outselling John Cena, obviously, in an Irish wrestling show.
Yeah.
You know, it goes without saying.
No, but I mean the figures though, he was
I don't know. Kate Mila Cena.
no, but he was legit outselling well listen, Noel. Cena put your kids through college. So
One of them.
the fucking Sheamus fella didn't
Would you stop? Hogan never
Sheamus-
did that, did he?
the Sheamus fella never outsold John Cena in an Irish wrestling shop, did he?
No.
No, but he paid for
There
his
you
dog's
go.
balls to get chopped off.
He paid for nothing. Noel paid for a fucking hit on him. Oh, you heard it here first.
Cena educated me, son. Sheamus
there.
lost me dog his bollocks.
Noel's covering his mouth going, shut the fuck up, Dynamo. Shut the fuck up, Dynamo. We're going we're shooting tonight.
Hold on. I want tonight's last word to be from Joe.
Yeah.
He's listening to a hell of a lot of bollocks, in fairness to him. And he has stood there
He
stoic,
contributed to a lot of it as well.
waiting for more people to die. He absolutely
contributed
did.
to it.
He was all over the logic and sense of situation.
Now,
And he has stood there stoically waiting for people to pass.
now we're going to go to the Four Podmen's very own Dr. Tony Houlihan.
Neffet Europe.
No, as I said, lads, I genuinely, as I say, Keith Lee was the first one to pop into my head. But you tell me WWE turned on him, so I don't know after that. Genuinely, I don't
He used to
know.
wear a dress for a bit. He wore
Just
the
say
tennis
Randy
shirt for a little
Orton.
while.
Joe.
And if it came to the women's match, I'd say Sasha Banks, but I think she's one of the champions, isn't she?
He's a champ anyway, yeah.
She wears gold,
so-
yeah.
There you go, lads. My
She could pull a Hogan.
Becky could be back. Becky could turn up. You never know.
some of my predictions are all out the fucking window because I haven't a clue who's got who.
Well,
else.
Becky's had the baby now a few weeks, few months. So do you know what I mean?
No.
Tell you what, I'm going to be ringing.
A baby
Richie.
cat.
I'm going to be ringing Richie. I'm going to be ringing Richie the fucking day of. So Richie, we haven't talked in a while. Story, how's Becky doing? Is she
And
back at work?
I see Becky's 150 to 1 on Paddy Powers. Any update for me?
Can you?
I've already lost the tenner to Kennedy.
I'm already losing.
I need to be quids in.
I've lost a bottle of Redbreast 12 to Kennedy and a tenner, and another tenner
And a
to
kiss.
Hogan. And a kiss.
A
as
tenner
well.
and a bottle of whiskey and a 60-euro bottle of whiskey. I'm balls deep in debt at the moment, and it's a
I have to give
lockdown.
him a kiss, and I mean, I'd rather give him all the rest rather than the kiss. So can you help a brother out?
He's just a sexy boy. Sexy
Um,
boy.
Lads, I think that is all we have time for this week. It's been actually a great show. This has been a great
It's been
show.
fun.
It has. It's been a great show of banter, and we're going to try and bring you this once a month, as well as all of the the topical stuff where we because we are getting great feedback. I have to say, Noel, you're getting it from your end. I know Jay, you're getting it as well from people, and Joe, and specifically myself. We're getting a lot of great feedback. People are loving when we do those old school deep dives on pay-per-views and stuff like that. But we do want to bring something like this where it is a little bit different, and we just shoot the shit and have banters, and we have beers, and we hope when you watch, you have beers too, because that's what it's about. And look, if you don't agree with anything that we do talk about, please do. Make suggestions, comment in the comments below on YouTube, email us. We are the Dynamo Podcast Network, so it's Dynamo Podcast Network at gmail.com. You can literally email us about anything, whether it's suggestions. If you'd like to come on the show and you think you have a good enough reason to come on the show, then you know what, we'll consider it. Because as you saw last week, we had someone on that wanted to give their top four, their four Mount Rushmores as well. So, lads, we are open to suggestions. It's your show as much as it's our show, because without yous, we don't have a show. And I just want to say that on behalf of all of us. And until next week, for Ian the Dynamo Kelly, for the DJ Jason Kennedy, for the Beef Mr. Houlihan Joe Duignan, and for Niall Hogan, the Four Podmen is over and out.